Today on America's Day at the Races, the road to the Kentucky Derby picks back up with a Grade 3 Withers from New York. Up-and-coming trainer Ray Handel. He's having a terrific Aqueduct meet, including a maiden win with a speedy constitutional lawyer. He'll get the rail again today. Can he wire the field one more time in his stakes debut and prove he's worthy to remain on the Triple Crown Trail? Four-time champion trainer Chad Brown looms large in the feature. He won the Withers last year with risk-taking. Can the lightly raced early voting bring him another Withers win off an impressive debut score back in December? And in Oldsmar, Florida, Tampa Bay, two strong turf stakes to highlight the Saturday card, including the Grade 3 Tampa Bay. Does 8-year-old multiple graded stakes winner Devamani have anything left in the tank? He comes in as the favorite off a 9-month layoff for a barn that is as good as it gets off the bench. All that and more coming up on today's edition of America's Best Racing. That's constitutional lawyer. He does it all, even cleans up. Good to have you with us. Our program brought to you by America's Best Racing. For the love of the races, visit americasbestracing.net today. Live look there at South Ozone Park and the Big A. Greg Wolf. Richard Migliori, winningest jockey in the history of this racetrack, and New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling. That feature today, Chad Brown has a horse who won, doing something that's not very easy to do, winning first time out and winning at a mile distance.
You've already made me nervous. I didn't realize I was sitting next to such a legendary person. I just thought he was a friend of ours. I agree. It's never easy to win, off these maiden wins. And we see it so much more now. In the old days, you would never see something like this. But a horse wins first time out at a mile is never that easy. He does draw well to the outside. As Richie, it does seem like you don't want to be inside. But this is a highly competitive race.
It's a very competitive race, and it's a time of year when a lot of these horses are changing, they're developing. They could take a step forward. Early voting showed a lot of ability first time, showed good speed. But I agree with you. It seems like all day long, with all the moisture we had in the track, it got colder. It seems like it's one of those throwback kind of tracks. It just gets a little bit heavier, a little bit more tiring, and the outside runners are having a little bit the best of it today so far.
Yeah, we saw it in the last 2 days, but those were extremely wet, sealed tracks, been different. And the track maintenance crew, they have had their hands full with the weather here, especially since we got back from the holiday break.
It's been rough, I will say that. You know what I liked about this debut, though, other than the obvious him winning, was just how resolute he was. It almost looked like he got lost a little bit, and then when he got set down, he found another stride. I don't think this horse was ever going to get by him, and I like when a horse shows that kind of determination, and I think he was a very determined winner.
And again, that was his debut. The horse behind him chasing. That was his 4th career start, and a horse who'd shown promise, who was second to Zandon, who gave Mo Donegal all he could handle in a Derby prep.
Oh, no, he had run comparable figures. It backs up that 76, and that's a big buyer figure for a debut winner at a mile. And before the race, Chad Brown had told me that he was confident that he was good enough to win the race, but he said he might need a race. He won't be surprised if he comes up a little bit short. So if he came a little bit short and he's been training well, he steps forward. He's a big player, but there are others in here. He is not the only one by far.
Ray Handel is hoping constitutional lawyer can step forward. He's comes in off an impressive maiden win. He got the rail. He'll get the rail again coming up this afternoon. And this is a horse, according to Ray, who has grown up quite a bit and overcome some issues. Let's go to Maggie Wolfendale for more.
Yeah, one of those issues, Greg, was getting out of the gate where where Ray has really concentrated on schooling him. Actually, Wednesday, he popped him out of the gate, out of the front, something to kind of keep a horse sharp again. And I had noted how much sharper constitutional lawyer was for that last start in breaking his maiden. We saw him take them every step of the way on the lead. Also, Ray has said that he's even moved forward after that win, that now in the mornings he's ultra aggressive in his gallops, and 2, with the advice from his former rider Dylan Davis, that he wanted to kind of lay out a little bit, getting away from horses a bit. Now he's put a cage bit on him, or a Houghton bit, as I like to say, for horses that do have that propensity to want to lean in and or lean out, and that he's been training really well with the addition of that equipment. And Greg, it never hurts when you come in off of a maiden score at the distance that this race is run at, as Ray will be looking for his first graded stakes victory as a trainer. And yesterday, he celebrated his 33rd birthday. The proverbial icing on the cake if he were to win this Withers.
I know it would mean a lot to him, too. I think thoughts with that entire barn, too, with Jose Mejia, who has been with Ray ever since he went out on his own, who was injured in an out-of-town event, galloping a horse for him. So this win would be, I'm sure, for Jose. It would be big for Ray. Can this horse step up against this kind of company?
Well, from a speed figure standpoint, he's actually the fastest horse in the race. The problem is his last race, the track was very favorable for his running style, and he had the right trip. He beat a horse that came back with not a great trip and ran 12 Beyer points worse. And he also draws the rail today, and the inside is not the best place the track to be, so he's got some things going against him. I still think he's a talented horse who ran better in his first 2 starts than it may appear.
Oh, I agree, and he's got the foundation. He's always run a mile and a 16th to a mile and an 8th. This is his 3rd start going a mile and 8th. So from a conditioning standpoint, he has a bit of an edge. But I agree with Andy. I think there are certain things that are going against him where he had everything going for him last time.
We have the Pick 5 coming up next. Let's take a look at today's races presented by Claiborne Farm. Pick 5, not an easy sequence this afternoon. We'll begin with a $10,000 claiming race. Track conditions muddy and harrowed this afternoon at Aqueduct. We'll have Tampa Bay races 6 through 10. They are fast and firm. The Endeavour and that Tampa Bay we'll see Belmont coming off that 9-month layoff. That's the 8th on their card in Oldsmar, Florida. You can play all the action today, including this Pick 5 coming up, by getting signed up and started with Naira Bets. Go to nairabets.com. Download the Naira Bets app. That $200 deposit match sign-up bonus offer. Punch in that code at sign-up, bonus 200, and you're good to go. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. All right, let's set up stakes action at Tampa. And the 6th race, Grade 3 Endeavour, fillies and mares 4 and up. Mile and a 16th on the turf, and 3-2 right now on Lady Spite Spear, who wants to be forward early for trainer Roger Atfield.
She can win. I'm all about Oyster Box in this race on the far outside, Richie.
Oyster Box has had a lot of tough trips.
And lost to some good horses, too.
We will talk more about it. There she is for Graham Motion. Stay with us.
Catholic Boy, one of only 3 American 3-year-old colts in history to win Grade 1s on both dirt and turf, including the immortal Secretariat. A 6-time graded stakes winner from ages 2 to 4, he was the fastest 3-year-old of his crop over 10 furlongs. Now his progeny are bringing top dollar in the sales rate. Dual surface Grade 1 winner Catholic Boy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back on America's Day at the Races on FS2. Thanks for spending part of your Saturday with us. Take part in this. You're competing for real prizes, and it's free to enter the Showdown free online contest. Go to naira.com/showdown. Put in your selections, and hopefully see your name at the top of that leaderboard at the end of the program. 5th race, again, kicks off this late Pick 5 difficult sequence on the Saturday card here in New York. 1-turn mile, $10,000 claiming race. Let's head downstairs to Maggie Wolfendale for more.
Runabout is your current favorite here for this field as he returned second off of a layoff. He found himself a little bit further back than what he is accustomed to in that first start off the bench, going 1 1/8, actually the first race of 2022, and he was kind of steadied down the backside. He ran on a bit while coming up the inside and just kind of tired, and that's kind of understandable with the layoff in mind. Now he comes in here second off the bench. He looks incredibly fit, but to be perfectly honest, I've seen him just look far better from the overall perspective than what he does here today. He makes sense, don't get me wrong. He has to go back races to make him competitive here, and I suppose it's promising that they chose to protect him running for the waiver off the claim or off the trainer change layoff and voided claim 2 starts ago. I get it. I just wish I was a little bit more positive here in the paddock, as we'll check in with one that won last time on the outside. Checking with the bookends of this field. Number 10, Playwright. I know he got optimal circumstances to get the victory last time for Trevor McCarthy riding the rail, which was where he wanted to be back on January 16th. But he's one I want to watch warm up, because whenever this horse warms up aggressively and moves really well, he's usually going to run a very good race. It's funny, going back through my notes, every time I wrote, love the warm-up, he runs well, if not wins. So he looks great for Dominic Scatino, as far as coat and flesh is concerned, and one of the best-looking horses here in this field. So we'll see what happens with Playwright if he can go 2 in a row, Greg.
Came from well out of it, but yeah, it was a brilliant ride from Trevor McCarthy to stay on the inside and get that win. We'll see if he can do it again this afternoon. We head back to Tampa, Grade 3 Endeavour. They're making their way to the gates. And it's a guy's getting Lady Spite's Spear, the 3. Favored, won the first 4 starts of her career. She's coming off the first beat of her career.
I think she ran very well last time. That was a race that collapsed, and she was the only speed that hung around at the end. She was also 6-5. The problem with her is, Richie, and I don't have any argument with her saying she's maybe the horse to beat in here. My problem is with the presence of Nantucket Red and Katama Moonlight, the 1 and 5. I don't see how you can expect her to be the speed in here. And are you really confident that she's going to be as good if she's forced to rate?
Well, you don't know that. I honestly think she'd be better off having a target. She had awfully green to me coming off the turn. She jumped to her right lead early. She kind of tried to get out. She tried to get in. Sometimes when a horse has something to focus on, it keeps him a little bit straighter and a little more focused. I mean, I love her pedigree. Lady Shakespeare.
Oh, it's the great pedigree.
Yeah,
it's
Lady
a great
Cheryl.
family. Lady Cheryl,
Yeah.
that whole family, and of course going back to Shakespeare. The problem is she's 4-5.
Sure.
It's one thing if you think you like a speed and they're forced to rate, and you're getting 3-1. But when you're getting a short price, I think you're hoping that she's a speed horse that can rate comfortably, and not just behind 1, maybe 2.
No, well, I agree. It's something new at a short price.
Yeah, and like Oyster Box, I know she's coming off a layoff, but she lost horses like Shantasara. That race at the Regret at Churchill, there was absolutely no pace, and Chris Landeros had her in the back of the pack. I made a comment to Graham Motion about it after the race, and he said to me, sometimes I think all the jockeys think I want my horses to come from dead last. And in this race, she projects to get speed. I thought she made a lot of sense in here, and I don't mind her outside post because there's a long run to the turn, and with enough speed in here, there should be that separation we like to see.
Yeah, they should spread the field out a bit, Greg. And one thing about it, too, she's been a little bit unlucky as well. And I think sometimes horses that are a little bit one-paced, they don't have that quick acceleration, get a little bit unlucky in turf. So an outside post would actually benefit that kind of horse.
We saw an upsetter today in a big race that had been a little unlucky in his races, and sometimes that the things fit. Listen, a Stunning Princess, the 4, can definitely win this race for Danny Gargan. Finished ahead of Lady Spitespear, and she figures to benefit from pace, but she got that pace last time as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to be interested to see what Lady Spitespear does, because I think she will benefit from having a target. Are they going to experiment, and will that actually work out?
Well, that's the thing. I don't want to find out at even money. She also has a name that must be an announcer's nightmare. Lady Spitespear. If you can get through a stretch duel with this horse and come out getting it right. Bleecker Street, the Chad Brown runner, is obviously taking some support. In my opinion, she would have to improve a lot to win this race.
But she's lightly raced, 3 for 3 in her career, in a barn that knows how to get them better over time. We'll see if she improves. That is very cold on the board, though.
Well, she's 6-1. And she comes out of a race, she finished a half length of the 6 horse, who's 39-1. So is she cold on the board, or is she either the 6 is an overlay or she's an underlay? Both can't be true. I know, Richie. It's a math question. You're
No,
looking
I
a little
think it's
confused
something,
over
though,
there.
It's something that you talk about, Andy, though. She's got 3 first-place finishes from 3 starts. People get
love to see
enamored.
W's.
Well,
People love to see Chad Brown.
It's what Jason used to always say to me. People like ones. And he's right.
With good reason.
Yeah, especially from Chad Brown. But she's no. I mean, do you think she should be the same price as the 4 and 10? 2 horses who have accomplished something against tougher horses. I mean, her last race is the first time she ran a buyer speed figure that's even in the vicinity of the kind of numbers other horses are running.
There's still
here.
upside with her, though, too.
Of
She's
course.
very lightly raced.
Right.
We're going to find out more here. Grade 3 Endeavour, mile and a 16th on the turf. Lady Spite Spear. Good luck, Jason Beam. Here's the 6 from Tampa.
Oyster box, Antonio Gallardo to the outside gate goes in. They're in the gate. And the race is on in the Endeavour Stakes. Lady Spitespear got away in good order. In between horses, Katama Moonlight is close up. And a Stunning Princess right there in the early vanguard as well. As they come through that opening furlong, it's Katama Moonlight just in front. Lady Spitespear in the second spot down toward the inside. Stunning Princess was out third. Nantucket Red and a bit tight down toward the inside from fourth as Morning Molly moves around her. It's a length and a half more then back to Oyster Box, who's fourth last. Bleecker Street with 2 beat early on. Those are Jezebel's Kitten, and at the back is Pythoness. 6 furlongs left to go in their journey. Katama Moonlight leads them up front a length and a half. Lady Spitespear, Nantucket Red. They're together second, third. They're a length and a half clear of Stunning Princess, who's fourth. The opening quarter timed in 23 2/5 seconds. As they wheel onto the backstretch, Katama Moonlight the leader. Lady Spitespear with her sights set on this leader up front, just a length back in second. Then comes Nantucket Red. Stunning Princess coasting along pretty good from the 4th spot. Out on the outside, Morning Molly in the teal cap is 5th right now, about 3.5 lengths adrift. Then comes Oyster Box. Down toward the inside, Bleecker Street still with 2 beat. Those are Pythoness and Jezebel's Kitten at the back. 3 furlongs left to go in the Endeavour. It's been all Katama Moonlight up front. Lady Spitespear at odds on, just in behind a length and a half in second. It's a length and a half more then. I'm back to Nantucket Red. Stunning Princess, they race together 3rd and 4th. Trying to get going, Oyster Box, Bleecker Street, looking for room down toward the inside as Lady Spitespear comes up alongside of Katama Moonlight. These two to the top of the stretch. Lady Spitespear on the outside. Katama Moonlight battles on. Stunning Princess in behind horses Nantucket Red as they come to the furlong pole. Lady Spitespear hits the lead. It's Lady Spitespear past the furlong pole. Katama Moonlight battling on bravely, trying to run on Bleecker Street, going for a split down the outside Oyster Box. Lady Spitespear, here's Bleecker Street erupting from out of the pack. Bleecker Street and Hector Diaz Jr. to win the Endeavour. Lady Spitespear was second, third. Stunning Princess fourth. Might have been Jezebel's Kitten closing up in a photo.
Bleecker Street, what a finish down the stretch. He's now 4 for 4. Undefeated for Chad Brown and Peter Brand.
Boy, I was wrong about this one. I mean, you say upside? This was an explosion. Didn't get a particularly fast pace to run at, Richie. And, I mean, it's not like anybody else made up a lot of ground, and she exploded.
She really did. It looked like she was kind of running a little bit with the emergency brake on until she was able to get up in between horses. And once she got her head in front of the 2 horses that she got the split, she found a complete another gear. And I know you're not a big gallop out guy, but that's an impressive gallop out.
Well, the other thing you have to like is, first of all, she didn't win it. I mean, she saved ground in the sense, so she didn't have a bad trip, but the race dynamics didn't heavily favor her, and she was running through the wire. And, Greg, as you were talking about before, she just keeps improving from start to start. You look at her first 2 races, she's running claimer-type speed figures, and she just took another big step forward. This could be a filly with a future.
There's a big race this summer early on at Saratoga. Could she potentially be pointed there?
The Diana? Well, I mean,
she's got to keep improving.
Every filly or mare running on the turf right now is being pointed towards the Diana. The question is whether or not they get there and they're good enough. But, I mean, I'm sure Chad Brown, who's had an enormous amount of success in the Diana, is probably going to tell Peter Brandt, if things work out, maybe she's a Diana horse. But that's a big jump.
I mean, she keeps passing every test they give her, though.
Yeah.
She just keeps winning. She finds ways to get it done.
Yeah.
Grade 3 win on the resume now for Bleecker Street. That was impressive. Here's our post-parade first leg of the pick 5, and here's the favorite Runabout.
Listen, I understand why Runabout is favored. He's second off a layoff, but he didn't draw well on the inside, and I can't take a short price on anyone in this race, Richie.
Orlando Noda with Nuts for Bolts.
Ran very poorly in the slop last time. Would have to really find some of that form showed on the turf.
Noble thought impressive in the mud, 2 back, not impressive in the slop. Next out.
He got a good pace. I like the 4. O'Shea, can you see?
Sam Camacho Jr., 6-time winner. Here's the 5, Twisted Tom, major back class, back when he was a 3-year-old.
He's a horse that needs the pace to come apart, but his recent races are bad.
High Command, Jackie Davis rides.
stretching back out. Ran an okay third last time for a little bit cheaper.
Could be low
Several
speed, right?
of these have beat the 7 the last couple of starts.
Yeah, I'm beginning to think Richie Knight, a horse suit, could beat Blood Moon.
Potantico at 6-1.
I really liked him last time. I thought he was disappointing. He's going to have to find a move forward, I think.
We saw 3 women riders run 1, 2, 3 yesterday's last race. Derby Glass. I think this is her first mount in New York that I remember.
And playwright Dominic Schettino, 7-time winner. Trevor McCarthy back aboard off that win last start.
Got a great set. Oh,
No,
sorry.
no, go ahead.
I was going to say he got a great setup in a race that fell apart, but it is Trevor.
I like his draw.
Yeah, no,
Outside
great draw.
today. Yep.
Great draw, and the right rider too.
Well, 3-2 on Runabout. We were talking off air, way too short a price. On a horse who's definitely one of the, if not the key player in here.
He's running the fastest buyer speed figures than anybody, and it's not even that close in general. The problem is he hasn't won a race in quite a while. He was 0 for 2021. His last win was back in December of 2020. Claiming waiver last time, you know, coming off the layoff. Draws the rail, which hasn't been the place to be. I don't know, Richie. I can't take a short price on anyone here.
No, a short price on anybody in this race, I think, is not the way to go. Plus, this horse has 8 wins, 15 seconds. I don't like when a horse has almost double the seconds compared to wins.
Well, let's head downstairs to Maggie.
Take a look at number 8 in here, Botanico, who, as Andy correctly said, Derby Glass, her first mount as a rider here in New York, though she has been galloping horses for Kelly Breen so far throughout the winter after spending the summer at Monmouth and riding there with her 10-pound apprenticeship. This horse, though, obviously trained by my husband, Tom Morley, loves girls. So Derby has been coming over, getting on him in the morning, and it's a little bit of an experiment. He just responds favorably to women when they ride. He seems like a happier horse. We'll see how it goes, and wishing Derby the best of luck. Hardworking, extremely kind, and good to see her out here at the Big A.
Can I make my quick case on O'Shea? Can you see? Everybody else in this race is either running in the same $10,000 level or moving up from $8,000. This is the only horse that's dropping. Has been running against better horses. If it wasn't for the lower percentage, the rider, the trainer, this horse could be one of the favorites in this race. And when lower percentage trainers and jockeys win races, this is exactly the kind of race that they win.
And numbers I look at, too, there he is moving in. Paired up numbers, poised to move forward here. It has run as good a numbers as anybody in the group. I like this horse as well.
I mean, it just makes a lot of sense, and I think he's a very square price.
7-1 right now. We'll see. It's the first leg of this very difficult late pick 5 sequence. Good luck. Here's John Imbrial.
And they're off. Botanico seemed to bobble there just at the start, but is still out for the early lead. And there is High Command, who is right alongside as Runabout gains ground from the inside. Then comes Blood Moon, who's racing in 4th. Twisted Tom is in 5th. Playwright on the outside in 6th. Then Oh Shake Can You See, break of 3 to Nuts for Bolts. Noble Thought is the trailer in 9th. Up front, it is Botanico, the gray, on the outside, and High Command down on the inside. And the two of them hook up here, and they've got 2.5 lengths on Runabout. The favorite sits just off the front runners in 3rd through a quarter in 24-1 over the muddy and harrowed track. Farther back in the field is Blood Moon, who's racing in 4th, followed by Twisted Tom in 5th. Oh Shake Can You See? Then comes a Playwright, and the two trailers are Nuts for Bolts and Noble Thought. The battle up front continues. High Command and Botanico with Runabout now running at them on the outside. So it's 3 of them across with Runabout gaining ground on the extreme outside. Runabout is right alongside of the gray Botanico as High Command drops back into 3rd. The field comes off the turn, enters the stretch, and it is Runabout, the one to catch. 3/4 up in 1:14-1. Runabout's the leader. Twisted Tom has now moved into 2nd. Then comes Oh Shake Can You See is down towards the rail. Nuts for Bolts out in the middle of the track. It is Runabout with the lead. Twisted Tom driving on the outside. Runabout trying to hold off Twisted Tom. It's Runabout by a little more than a length. Twisted Tom one last try. Runabout the winner, 3/4 of a length. Twisted Tom was 2nd, Photo for 3rd.
Runabout able to hold off the 8-year-old Twisted Tom, pick up the 9th win of his career.
You know, he was the horse to beat on paper. None of us were going to take him at a short price, but I don't think we're surprised he won, Richie.
No, and I think the key to the success here was Eric Cancel from post 1 was able to extricate him from that position and get him out into the 3 or 4 path. By the time they got to the far turn, got to the best part of the track, got that unencumbered run, and it's kind of good to see Eric Cancel stringing together wins because his confidence level seems like it's coming back. Confidence is key for any athlete.
Absolutely, and that was the right thing he did. You know, I'm not going to be hard on Sammy Camacho. He doesn't ride that much. He's not going to be a rider that's going to be as a tuner of the racetrack. I knew who I was betting going in, but the fact that he basically spent almost the entire time on the rail and O'Shea, can you see, didn't do him any favors. But you can't, you know who you're betting going in.
8-5, the favorite to kick off this late pick 5. 7-year-old son of Oxbow with the victory. Wins for the first time since December of 2020. Been a dry spell for some time for this horse, but gets back into the winner's circle. And picture time now. Twisted Tom Noble thought Patantico 2, 3, and 4 in here. 1, 5, 3, 8 finish in race 5 from New York. Let's head back to Oldsmar, Florida. And we may have seen the coming out party for an emerging star here in Bleecker Street.
I love the way she did this. I mean, she's in behind horses, saving ground. That's what you want to do on the turf. But to me, it looks like she's running a little bit in stops and starts, maybe not quite sure of herself being in between horses. It looked like Hector Diaz was trying to come out first, went back inside, found the split. But watch the gear she throws it in here, Andy, once she found the clear.
No, I agree, Richie. And, you know, what you're alluding to is, you know, the greatest trip you can get in the turf is to save ground the turns and then angle out to the clear to get your momentum and make that run. She never really got to do that. But once she got her momentum going in a blink of an eye, she went just flying by the other horse.
7-1, and then she floated up even higher right before the gates open in here. So now a filly who's 4 for 4 has a graded stakes win on the resume for Chad Brown, Peter Brandt. We'll see if certainly one to keep our eyes on going forward.
And it's sort of vintage Chad Brown, taking the time, giving him a chance to get better. Obviously, in her first 2 races, it was hard to imagine her winning a race like this, but gave her that time, and she improved. I couldn't have had her, but she ran today.
We're going to take a timeout. More stakes action ahead on the turf. And again, Chad Brown is going to have a big say at what happens in the Tampa Bay. 8-year-old Devamani coming in off a 9-month layoff, trying to win another graded stake. Have to deal with the Speedy Get Smoke, and he too coming off the bench for a new barn. Stay with us.
Good Magic's in front. Good Magic pulls away from Sobomini. Good Magic's gonna win his first race, and he's gonna do it in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Good Magic to the front of the field in the Toyota Bluegrass to win it. The champ is back. Good Magic in a good-looking performance.
800,000, 75, 800, 75, 8.5. Pete, 775,000. Thank you.
Magic's in front.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit nairabets.com.
Honor AP, a mesmerizing horse from the very beginning, who captured the imagination of the racing world and proved his potential on the track. A Grade 1 winner, out of a multiple Grade 1 winner, with incomparable looks and an unbeatable pedigree. The speed, the bloodline, the physical. Honor AP, new for 2021, only at Lane's End.
This season at Oaklawn, we've got more of everything. More of the top thoroughbreds in the world. More days of live racing. And the largest purses in our history. All at a completely reimagined Oaklawn. Come be a part of this historic season at Arkansas's only casino resort.
We're back on America's Day at the Races. You can follow along in the program, get all the stats on the horses, trainers, and jockeys by downloading free Equibase past performances. Go to NYRA.com/TV schedule and download your free PPs from all the races on today's program today. Late pick 5 begins with the favorite here in New York. Runabout goes off at 8-5. Eric Cancel, Wayne Potts team up.
Worked out a good trip, got off the rail, not the place I think you want to be today. Always important to pay attention to where horses are having the best of it. So many weeks we've had an inside track kind of change over the last few days, and Runabout, perfect trip, perfect ride, gets it done.
Absolutely. You know, you have to give, when Eric's riding well, he's a very good rider. I think that's one of the things that can be frustrating. There are times where you think he's just not the rider he's capable of being, and there are times where he's a very good rider, and this was a good example, favorite or not.
I think it's a question of confidence. I think when his confidence levels up, he rides well. Sometimes every athlete can struggle with that from time to time, but Runabout, a very live mount, his agent PJ Campo getting him on live horses, and when he delivers rides like this, it's going to breed more success.
Pick 6, it was a carryover, double carryover this afternoon. It began back in race 4, and that started with Red Revolution. Very logical horse to start it off. Another logical one here in leg 2, but a long way to go, including a wide open edition of the Withers.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen so many big payouts. Maybe it's due to chalk out, but these have been treacherous sequences. We'll see if it continues to be logical.
Race 6, it starts the pick 4. It's a $25,000 claiming race. Horses who have not won 2 in their careers, traveling 6.5 furlongs, and the board reflects, again, another wide open race here. Magnificent Chrome, currently a mild 3-1 favorite, missed by a neck last start.
Yeah, I'm looking at multi-race bets, and I don't think you're going to see this horse favored by post time. In my opinion, listen, if the 4, we'll talk about the 4 Prisoner. If he wins, he'll take no prisoner. If he runs back to his first race, he'll win by 50. He's not going to do that. But I think if the 1, other than Prisoner, the 1 runs his last race and doesn't get mired down on the rail, et cetera, he's going to win this race. He ran huge last time.
Prisoner, that was the comeback day, right, from COVID? First day back?
Second or third?
Anyway, he won his debut.
I don't even remember him. Do you remember
him? He beat Fauci in that race, who became very good on the
right.
grass going forward.
I mean, he ran an 85 Beyer in his debut for Mike Rapoli and Todd Pletcher. He might have been the favorite for the hopeful at that point. I mean, you would have expected this horse to win any number of our Tremont, Sanford, Saratoga Special, Hopeful. Now he hasn't run in 20 months, and he shows up for $25,000. He's the speed of the speed, but how can you trust him?
We'll talk more about it coming up. Let's look earlier on today's card. A lot of people so excited about the Toboggan, a race that maybe you've won several times in your career. Happy Medium, Kentucky bred, Michelle Nevin has, who has been just ultra impressive. Down on the inside, though, and did not show up this afternoon. Drafted, just a monster move.
I love the move from Jose Ortiz undrafted. He made a decision. He went all in around the turn. He took it right to Happy Medium, who had no response. And this horse has hinted at ability. He's threatened to do this several times. He finally did it today, and I'm very, very happy.
First win since 2019 for this horse.
Yeah, a long time. But he's run some good races.
And he's run sneaky well because he's been in one paceless race after another on this racetrack. That kind of outside move helped him. Obviously, being inside hurt Happy Medium, though he really didn't run well in here. You could see on the backstretch, watching this race, that Jose had an absolute handful of horse. And Richie making that move, I'm thinking he may have been afraid if he held him any longer, he might lose it because he was bursting on the backstretch.
Well, sometimes you've got a horse that's so full of run, you don't want them to go stale under wraps. Go on, let them use their stride. And I'm just so happy for Dave Duggan, a very underrated horseman, does a terrific job to be rewarded with this victory. And, you know, a lot was talked about Happy Medium, who has shown high ability. Every race is a tougher race as you step up. He stepped into grade 3 company. The next step, if he had passed that test, would have been grade 2 company, eventually grade 1 company. It gets harder with every subsequent move up in class.
I agree, and they're tougher horses he's run against, and Drafted really showed up today. He was towards the inside. I don't want to condemn him off this performance. No. He's run too well in his other races that you don't. But let me say something else. If you look at his prior 3 races, all 3 this year, 2 of them are triple-digit Beyers, 103, 104. The other one that's in the low 90s, which really didn't make him a particular favorite in this race, was on a track with moisture in it. So maybe he doesn't like moisture in the track.
Fair point.
2 bad races are with moisture.
If you get a chance, go watch that entire replay. That move from Drafted
It was going to explode in the backstretch. You could just see it.
Big one still to come. Grade 3 Withers. Courvoisier trying to back up that Jerome win on New Year's Day on the sloppy going for Kelly Breen, the son of Tappet. Looking to make it 3 straight wins. We'll be back.
The sun shines bright on Caraconte. His first crops of racing age are showing brilliance on the racetrack with a high percentage of stakes winners. His versatility is evidenced by winners on all surfaces across the globe. And his offspring are lighting up the sales ring. With his biggest and best quality of books in the pipeline, the sun shines bright on this value sire. Caraconte, standing at Gainesway.
Back on America's Day at the Races on FS2. Good to have you with us. Our program brought to you by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. It's brought a smile to everyone's face. Belmont Park announcing their stakes schedule. Opening day right around the corner, April 28th. Yeah, they got some big ones coming up at the meet. 59 stakes races. 12 grade 1s, including that third and final leg of the Triple Crown, which beginning next year will be seen on Fox Sports.
That's right. Excited about that. Excited with the Belmont and the possibility of a matchup between Life is Good and Flightline and the Met Mile. That if that happens, the Belmont Stakes might be the undercard stake to the Met Mile.
I'm with you. What a matchup that would be. Two incredibly brilliantly fast horses, and I just love seeing those clips because there's nothing like opening day at Belmont too. You get there and all the green. It's like the first time I went to Yankee Stadium. You come up the tunnel and there's all that brilliant green.
Yeah, I've missed very few opening days at Belmont when I would work downtown. I just always remember, like, getting to Belmont, getting off the Long Railroad I'd take out and just walking to Belmont the first time. You're just so happy because it's also such a great time of the year. You've got the Belmont meet coming up with all the big races. You've got Saratoga coming up. You've got the fall as you lead the Breeders' Cup. And, the Derby's coming up. There's so much to look forward to.
Winners behind you.
I'm about a month away from getting neurotic and worrying about next year's winter.
Grade 3 Withers, big one coming up today on the road to that Kentucky Derby. It points on the line to get into that starting gate that first Saturday in May. New Year's Day, it was a sloppy racetrack. And from what we can see of this race, what'd you make of Courvoisier and his performance?
Right here, Richie, I'm sure you can see it. It's a very funny race because I looked at the first 4 finishers on Trackers because they could see the race better than us. And there was only a 10-foot disparity. Most horses had pretty good trips in here. Courvoisier was off the rail, which was the best place to be, but he was forwardly placed, which helped. He ran very, very well in there, Richie, but I think others also ran fairly well, including the second and third finishers.
Smarten up. It's tough to see, but he had a really tough trip.
I wouldn't say that.
Bad beginning?
Yeah, I mean, he had a trip that was tough on that racetrack because he was trying to make a run from the back of the pack.
Yeah, the thing about Courvoisier is his pedigree makes you believe he's got even more improvement in him, that he's kind of figuring it out and coming to hand, and he could take another step forward.
It is horse racing, not jockey racing, but he's going from Jose Ortiz, who's opting to ride the morning line favorite early voting, to a rider who has a much lower win percentage in New York, a successful rider out of town. We'll see if that affects things. I like Cook Creek a little bit, who draws well on the outside, and Cook Creek had to be taken out of his game in the Jerome and was much more forward than he wants to be because of the way the track was playing.
On a track that's playing like it is today, I would not say the comment you just said, because that jockey's going to play a huge part of it.
Well, post positions that seemed bad when we had these inside racetracks going 1 1/8, suddenly those outside posts going 1 1/8 don't seem so bad.
I still think it's tough to be that wide 1 1/8, even if it's a better place to be towards the outside. You just don't want to get caught so wide in the first turn in a very short run.
No, I don't disagree with that, but it does project that there should be a little bit of pace in here.
Yeah.
So maybe if they get away from a little bit, maybe he can tuck in 3 wide or so and not just get that bad a trip.
Courvoisier trying to make it 3 in a row. Damn. Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies winner, champion, multiple Grade 1 winner, bred to be very good. And we'll see if he can keep it going down this Triple Crown trail. That is coming up in our 8th this afternoon on that road to the Derby. Up next, we have the 6th, 10 minutes away. Remind everyone of this Saturday Stakes bonus. Get up to a $30 bonus today when you bet on select stakes races with Now Bets. For every stakes race, you bet $50, you will get $5 back whether you win or lose. Today's races, the Withers, Toboggan was earlier, and some other big ones out at Gulfstream you can play as well. Don't forget you have to opt in to take advantage of that promotion. So the 6th race, approaching the 10-minute mark to post here. Non-winners of 2 sprinting, 6.5 furlongs. Let's go down to Maggie.
The big story here is the return of Prisoner after running a very fast race as a somewhat early 2-year-old, nearly a year, 2 years ago, to be fair, 1.5 years, I should say. He's been away from the races. And he was a horse that I had my doubts about getting the job done first time out because he was so green. He was studdish in the paddock, but he certainly ran the proverbial hole in the wind that day and was very quick. Now he comes back in here. He's sharp once again, but thankfully he comes in with the makeover, including the gelding makeover, which he is much better behaved, obviously, as he should be, and does apply a very shortcut blinker. But I do think they're not going to change his running style, at least from what we saw in his debut and lone race, and that he looks as though he has run on his mind. He comes in here fit. He's grown up nicely. It's just whatever issue has kept him away from the racetrack, will he be able to overcome that? He does return wearing those front wraps, but I'm more on the positive end of the spectrum with what I see from Prisoner than the negative, as we'll move on to his outside. In number 6, Halpert, Michelle Giangiulio is really having a great Aqueduct meeting so far, 5 for 7 in her small stable. And, you know, she runs her horses in logical spots, 4 Corners Racing and 10 Strike Racing, who seem to be her big clients. They allow her to be aggressive and just find the right spots for her horses. Now, Halpert, he shows up for this non-2 for 25 once again, second off the claim. He's always been a very good-looking horse, but sometimes it's all about the competition you're facing and how you match up relative to the other horses that day. And physically, Halpert just looks hands and heels above most of these other than Prisoner, and he comes in here just looking fantastic. Now, the argument that can be made is he's probably a much better turf horse than a dirt horse, but maybe in this spot, he can be effective as he's drawn more towards the outside with some other speed to go out in front of him. Greg?
All right, thank you, Maggie. We head to Tampa. Race 7 on the dirt 7/8 of a mile, an allowance optional claiming field. And they're making their way to the gate. Our Mercedes boy taking a ton of attention. Should be forward. 6-time winner, making his 2nd start of the year.
Yeah, but my problem with him is he's lost 7 straight races and he's been a short price in every single one of them, including losing it 4-5 3 back, losing it 3-2 last time out. And yeah, he makes a lot of sense, but I'm going to tell you something. He finished a half length ahead of the 3 last time, and the 3 is 10-1 on the board. How is that not value?
That's value.
This race we're showing you obviously had that bad beginning, which we showed you, and that compromised his start here and wound up missing by less than a length in the end. 3 seconds and 4 tries at 7/8 of a mile as well. Is that concerning?
Yeah, it concerns me that he hasn't won in quite a while, and he's a super short price. I'm sorry, but I think it matters. I mean, it doesn't mean he's not going to win, but I don't need this horse at a short price.
Can he be alone in front?
Well, isn't the 3 Bring Me a Check supposed to be forward in this race from inside of him? I mean, I don't think it matters that he's stalking. Why is Bring Me a Check 10-1? Anybody have an answer to that?
I don't. I think Bring Me a Check, it projects to be the controlling speed in here.
Jason Beam with the call. Here's the 7th from Tampa.
Rose for Raven going in. They're in the gate. And the race is on. Good start for the favorite Mercedes boy who heads out to the early lead. Bring Me a Check coming through down toward the inside. Hide the Demon. Also forwardly placed. Those 3 right across the track as they come onto the main course. They're 2.5 clear of Lord Barnett, Grand Runner, and up on the outside of Rose for Raven. Those 3 make up the second flight. It's about 3.5 more. Then back to another lineup of 3 is Mystic Link, Bear Creek, and down on the inside, Allen. So they head up the back stretch, and it is Bring Me a Check the leader. Bring Me a Check there, 3/4 of a length in front. Hide the Demon in the second spot. Our Mercedes boy stays down toward the inside in third, joined by a Rose for Raven on the outside from fourth. The top 4 bunch up past the half-mile pole. The opening quarter, 22-2. Bring Me a Check to the far turn, 3/4 of a length in front of Hide the Demon in the second spot. Our Mercedes boy, and in between runners a Rose for Raven. They're right there as those top 4 stayed bunched up. Just in behind them, Grand Runner is 5th and only 3.5 lengths adrift. Lord Barna, Mystic Link trying to run on from the back has made some progress, is up to within 6 or 7 as they come toward the quarter pole. Hide the Demon up on the outside, puts a nose in front of Bring Me a Check. Our Mercedes boy, the favorite, has to do better, was passed on the outside there by a Rose for Raven and is 4 lengths behind as they turn to the top of the stretch. Bring Me a Check, Hide the Demon. Our Mercedes boy now starting to pick up stride a little bit. Mystic Link has also made up significant ground and is going to try to go for the 2 path. They're inside the final furlong. Here's Hide the Demon. Mystic Link coming through down toward the inside with Bring Me a Check. Hide the Demon in front. Mystic Link one final try. Hide the Demon going to hold on to win it here at 10-1. Mystic Link was second. Third went to Bring Me a Check. Fourth, a Rose for Raven. And fifth was Lord Barna.
Hide the Demon with the victory here. First win in a while for this one. Have to go back to June 19th of last year.
I called Nostradamus. He has no idea. Ripley, he didn't believe it either, Richie.
I tell you what, on paper, it's a stretch to make this horse, but during the running of the race, he was always traveling well under Antonio Gallardo. You could see he always had horse, and he just kept finding.
I felt like a genius betting the 3, who ran fine at his price, and I boxed 2, 3, 5 in there, ran second and third, but second and third best.
Half the field had handled this horse pretty easily the last couple of starts.
But I guess showing that more speed, getting him in the game really made a difference. Give Gallardo credit. And our Mercedes boy, I mean, that horse didn't run at all.
Back to New York, race 6. Pick 4 begins in this race. And it's Prisoner, whose only start, it came June of 2020. He was dominant and ultra impressive in that debut. We've not seen him since. That was when he was with Todd Pletcher. He's now with Rudy Rodriguez. Manny Franco, who you're looking at. Talking with Rudy, going to be aboard for start number 2. Blinkers, new gelding, and Lasix. A lot of changes off a long layoff for a horse who showed a lot of ability in his debut.
And another thing, though, that concerns me about him is, and you know, I'm Manny Franco's biggest fan. But Manny has been down towards the inside on a number of occasions today, and I'm just not sure he's as aware of the racetrack as maybe he should be. And if this horse is down on the inside, good luck to him.
All riders have strengths and weaknesses. one of Manny's strengths is his physical strength, his physical prowess. He's an athlete, and he's strong. He can get a lot out of horses. But I don't think he's as in tune with track biases as some other riders.
Yeah, no, I agree. And listen, the last thing I ever like to do is criticize Manny. I'm a big fan of his. I like him as a rider. I like him as a person. But I wish that he would be a little more attuned to the racetrack. And I think even if you like this horse and expect him to show up today, you have to be concerned that he's going to be on the wrong part of the racetrack. And we're seeing it could have been part of the undoing unhappy medium.
Yeah.
Well, he's quick, too, and having been off that long, you'd think he's going to be extra fresh when the gates open, and he got helped a little bit pace-wise with Swinton coming out of the race as well on the outside.
Big scratch for him, right?
Here's our post-parade. We'll kick things off here with Forest Spirit. We start with the 2.
Forest Spirit, claim for 25, shows back in for 25, adds blinkers, gets Trevor McCarthy, who's been riding well.
6-1 with Trevor aboard. Here's the 1, Magnificent Chrome. Ailsa Morrison back aboard.
My top choice. I worry that he'll get mired down the inside, especially with the bug rider. But his last race, that race totally collapsed, except for him. His last race was big.
Bar 14's been more of a turf horse, but has shown ability on the dirt.
Well, hopefully he'll keep his rider, which he didn't do last time out. But he is a better turf horse, and he's a speed horse in a race with utter speed.
Here is Prisoner. Long time away, but he was impressive the only time we've seen him.
God, the precipitous drop in class certainly raises some questions, but if he's anywhere close to his debut, he'll beat this group.
He's 2-1. Hanger 1 next door. 0 for 4 at Aqueduct.
Yeah, he'd be a pick 6 buster. I mean, he just doesn't have races that really look fast enough to compete.
Here's the 6, Halpert. Michelle Giangulio is losing 30% of her races.
Yeah, winning at a crazy percentage, and this horse is making a nice impression on the track, and he did look good in the paddock, like Maggie alluded to.
Must be a story on him to be 7-2 because he's way too slow on paper to win. 3-1?
Barnes pretty hot. Barnes pretty hot.
Yeah, maybe, but this horse better improve.
Taco Bean 14-1. Mike Leslie.
Big win, 2 back. The other races make him 100-1 here.
El Mayor, John Toscano just claimed.
Gets 7-pound apprentice Jose Gomez, who's been riding extremely well, and a great draw. Outside draw today, I think. Definitely advantage, particularly these one-turn races.
So let's go back to Prisoner. Being away that long, obviously not a great sign, but it's an even worse sign that you come back when you showed all that ability in a straight maiden race and you drop in for 25,000.
No, there's nothing positive except for the fact that as a 2-year-old in June, he ran a race that would win this race by a comfortable 5 lengths. Maybe more. So somewhere in there is a horse who could blow this field out. But how can you trust him?
The thing is, you don't know. Obviously, there had to be some sort of a physical issue. Now, you don't know. Maybe it was a breathing issue. Maybe it was a soft tissue injury. If he's racing, though, he's passed every protocol to be cleared to race.
But he's clearly not the same horse.
So maybe he's not the same horse. I mean, I know me personally as an athlete, after certain injuries, I was just not quite the same rider. Physically, I couldn't get to the place I wanted to get to.
Right, and as a bettor, you're supposed to try to beat horses like this. They're always going to take money for all the reasons that are sort of obvious, but in general, these horses don't perform.
9-5 favorite for start number 2. Let's head down to Maggie.
And we saw a lot of early money for the rail horse in here, Magnificent Chrome, who ran very well in the context of that race, which completely incinerated with the top 2 finishers rallying from well back, and he was doing all the dirty work up front with the apprentice rider Ailsa Morrison. And, you know, I was chit-chatting with Randy Prasad, his trainer, and he was saying, I just hope that she realizes that she's going to have to get off the rail. I do not want to see this horse involved in another pace duel. And he is very relaxed, which sometimes he can get fairly wound up prior to his races. So he did run very well last time. We'll see what he can do here once again. Now on the outside is just a horse in El Mayor who's coming off the claim off of a high percentage outfit, I should say. And he just kept catching my eye. I don't know why, and he's turning back in distance where I actually like because he's a smaller, handier built horse, and he's really sharp, but it's this contained, controlled, and focused energy. I just thought one that might be able to outrun his odds a bit, as he's currently 10-1, Greg.
Maggie, thanks. Interesting race. Will Prisoner be the prisoner of old or even close to it? If he is, he will win. Reasons to think he won't be.
Let's discuss Halpert. There's obviously an international story on this horse. You know, we saw yesterday that Jimmy Bond horse that could have been 15-1, go off at 5-1 and win. This horse, Halpert, on the dirt, has never run a race that puts him even in the vicinity of anybody here. He had a gold rail trip last time out. I understand Michelle Ginjulia's horse has been winning. She's put him in the right spots. None of them have been outperforming. None of them are running better than they look on paper. Yet, with the money this horse is taking, I'd like to book every cent on him, but I'm afraid around here the money he's taking that there's a story that this horse is working really well and he's suddenly going to run 10 lengths better than he's ever run before in a dirt race because he's not competitive on paper.
Second choice right now.
It's crazy.
Kendrick Carmouche, 5-2 on
Co-favorite,
the 6.
virtually. I mean, do you see it, Greg, on his dirt races? On his dirt races?
Outside look. I didn't see that short of price.
You want to bet a hot trainer, that's one thing. But to take a short price on a horse that's not good enough? Okay.
Prisoner the 4, though. The one to beat in the big drop here in start number 2. It's the start of the pick 4. Let's go to John Imbrial.
6. And they're off. Taco Bean going out for the early lead. Now quickly moving up. There goes Prisoner, and Prisoner has taken over. Magnificent Chrome at the rail takes second. Taco Bean is now in third, and Bar 14 runs in fourth. El Mayor on the extreme outside is next in fifth, followed by Hanger 1 in sixth. Forest Spirit is in between horses, and on the outside is Halpert. Prisoner leads here by better than 2 lengths through a quarter in 22 and 4/5 seconds. It is Prisoner the leader here by almost 2. Bar 14, Taco Bean, they are both gaining ground, second and third on Prisoner. It's Prisoner down at the rail, Taco Bean's on the outside, Bar 14 in between, and El Mayor is next in fourth, followed by Hanger 1 as Magnificent Chrome drops back. On the outside is Halpert. Forest Spirit is at the back. The half went in 46 and 4. It is Prisoner who has the lead here into the stretch. Taco Bean's on the outside, and then it is Bar 14. It is Prisoner maintaining the lead here and opening up now. It is Prisoner in front by 5 and 6 lengths. Prisoner coming off the long layoff, comes back running and comes back winning under jockey Manny Franco. Prisoner won by a half dozen lengths. Taco Bean was second, then Bar 14 and Forest Spirit.
Prisoner just fine off the long laugh against this group with all those changes. Manny Franco, Rudy Rodriguez, and Rapoli Stable.
And give Manny credit. He learned to stay off the rail. He never got near the rail on this horse. And listen, he ran. Maybe he got comfortable in the front end. We'll see if he got claimed.
He did.
2-1. I mean, he ran. Look, we said it. If he runs as close to his race, he's going to win by a pole. He did. And I want to know what the story with Halpert was, because he beat one horse. He ran his race.
Once Manny got Prisoner in gear and he busted loose, it was over, and he got so comfortable. And, you know, honestly, the way Manny was riding him with kind of a loose rein, that's how you ride horses that sometimes have their airway inhibited somewhat, and that's what it looked like, because he was striding out. He was hitting the ground extremely well.
And I guess the thing with a horse like that has a wind issue, if you can get him in front and get him comfortable in front, then it often won't kick in. It's when they get pressured, and the pace gets a little hot and they get a little pressure. He could run last.
Pressured, and also when you've got to adjust and move them around and maybe have to steady or change course, putting the bit up in their mouth. He was always kind of on a loose line and got very comfortable and just ran away. He was the best horse. Good run and a good ride from the 7. Taco Bean under Mike Dutzy.
From?
Well, he ran a big race 2 back.
One race in his career.
No, you said where to come from. Believe me, I didn't like him, but you said where to come from. Well, he ran back to his race 2 back. And listen, this was not a good field on paper. I mean, let's be honest. It's not a field full of stellar horses. My horse was last, also down in the dead rail the entire way, didn't run a step. Who was any? I mean, we're talking about horses that are running 50 buyers. I mean, the 5-2 shot in here, Halpert, who ran to his figures, he's just woefully slow.
Prisoner moving to a new barn for his next start.
You think?
He got claimed.
Oh, he got claimed.
Try and find out who that was for you when we come back. 4-7, 3-2. When we return, we'll look ahead to Sunday action, the Jimmy Wingfield. Life is great. Looking pretty good for the Wingfield. Coming in from Laurel, we'll preview his chances. Manny Franco will ride. Stay with us.
Smile Happy was a TDN rising star following his maiden win at Keeneland. From there, he captured the Grade 2 Kentucky Jockey Club Stakes to remain undefeated and earning points toward the Kentucky Derby. In Future Pool 1, Smile Happy was individual leader by lowest odds. Among the top of his crop by stakes winners and earnings, Run Happy continues his rise and is priced for success. Call today and book your mare to Red Hot Sire Run Happy, standing in legendary stall 1 at Claiborne Farm.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit nairabets.com.
Florida Derby's always been a key stallion-making race. Constitution, Scat Daddy, Quality Road.
The 2017 Florida Derby to Always Dreaming.
I see a lot of similarities in Constitution and Always Dreaming. They're a little more angular, aerodynamic, and athletic than some of the other stallions by those sire lines. Always Dreaming offers that athleticism, and I think he can reproduce that into his babies, and you'll see some good two-year-old performances from them.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. Use promo code TRYRTN for a 5-day free trial.
Back on America's Day at the Races. Good to have you with us. Program brought to you in part by Hillendale at Alapa. We appreciate their support. 6th at Aqueduct. Prisoner, long time away, but it was worth the wait here. And Rudy Rodriguez gets one start with his horse in his barn, and now the horse moving elsewhere.
You could see Manny Franco was intent on staying removed from the rail. He did a good job, and maybe took him a race or two, but he caught up with the idea that the inside portion of this track is not the place to be. Prisoner was best. He ran very, very well.
You know, you wonder what would have happened if the 10 Swinton had been in the race to put pressure on him from the outside, because Swinton is one of the faster horses on the ground.
Yeah.
He's a fast horse, but as it was, being able to control, and I think Manny did just a superb job of controlling this race.
$6.40 for the win. Favorite starts off the pick 4. Favorite started off the pick 5. And Red Revolution, short price in race 4 after we've seen a couple of weeks of just chaos here in terms of prices.
They were due to be short prices, Greg, but the way things have gone, it ain't over till it's over.
That's true. Only at the halfway point. Long way to go. This 7th race competitive as well. 1 turn mile, first allowance condition. And Dust Devil, wow, for Belmont has opened as the favorite.
Well, I mean, the obvious hunch bet here is 3 Jokers.
Who ran a very big race last start.
As we were saying. No, he did. I think he'll be favored by post time, and here Dust Devil makes sense. It feels like a race that sort of, you want the outside horses, the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The 5 No Burn ran extremely well in a fast pace of collapse last time, but there's so much other speed, but at least he's the outside of the 3 speeds, Richie.
Yeah, and he's a horse that's shown that he gets into a big rhythm around 1 turn. I think that's really his style.
I agree with you.
More on this race coming up in a moment. Let's briefly look ahead to Sunday's action. Jimmy Winkfield, 7/8 of a mile for 3-year-olds. And we mentioned Life is Great going to break. Hagler's in here as well. Morello, whose 1 start was very good. Let's start, though, with Life is Great. He is the morning line favorite. His maiden win at Aqueduct, he was impressive.
Shouldn't he be Life is Good and the other one be Life is Great?
That's what I was thinking.
Trading names here.
Yeah, absolutely.
This was pretty great, though.
Yeah, no, listen, he was impressive this day. It, came in his 5th start. He had a lot of foundation, got the right kind of setup, stalked from the outside and kicked away.
I know you're not on tomorrow, Richie, so you may not have watched his Laurel race last time out, where he obviously disappointed a short price. I don't think he had a horrible trip, but he just never really got into a comfortable spot in that race. Now, I think if you watched, you would probably agree. He just never really got to a winning position in there. But obviously it was a disappointment after such a good effort in this race.
And he's competed against a couple of graded stakes winners, Mo Donegal, who's running today on the Derby Trail, High Oak, who we saw win a big stakes race as a 2-year-old Saratoga. He's kept some good company.
Yeah, he's kept some good company. He was, you know, very improved a lot after his first start showing such good speed, and he kind of continually improved. Laurel's a different kind of racetrack. Can be a little bit looser, a little bit cuppier. Maybe he didn't handle the track as well as being compromised by the trip, but to be full disclosure, I did not see the replay.
You know, it just feels like this is kind of a make or break race for him a little bit. I know it's early in his career a lot, you know, but in general, he doesn't have to win, but he needs to run well. Because he ran so well here breaking his maiden that he's got to get back to another good performance, because I think all these horses want to run a race like the Bayshore at 7 furlongs on Wood Day. And, of course, the Bayshore, it opens the door to running in races like our Grade 1 Woody Stevens on Belmont Day, our Grade 1 Alan Jerkins at Saratoga. And I'm not saying that we're going to see the winner come out of this race, but that's what they're all pointing to.
I like Hagler turning back in distance.
Really?
I just don't think he wanted any part of a mile. I like him turning back.
He is quick. He's going to be cutting back a furlong. Blinker's going on too, so then you know they want him in front. Morello, though, this is what you want to see first time out from a horse, and it's $250,000 son of the 2-year-old Champ Classic Empire impressed in debut.
He did. He did. And listen, he's got upside. This is just his first start. I didn't think this was a very good race he comes out of. I know the second horse came back to win, but he won a pretty mediocre race the next time out with a good trip. I'm not a fan of this horse, Richie, but I may be proven wrong. He certainly drew well on the outside, and he's accelerating.
Well, and he has the right to improve, too, right?
Yeah,
Having the one start and a horse to take a step forward. Well drawn, going 7 furlongs with the outside post.
See if he can take that big step forward. Start number 2. That's tomorrow, race 4 on the card. Jimmy Winkfield. We have more stakes action coming up on the grass from Tampa Bay. Grade 3, Tampa Bay is next. Mile and a 16th on the turf. Here's the Eons, one of several lining up against Devamani in his return.
Undefeated Grade 1 winner Mastery was a multiple graded stakes winner at 2, including this victory in the Los Alamitos Cash Call Futurity. Now his progeny are bringing top dollar in the sales ring, and his first runners are hitting the track. Mastery, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back on America's Day at the Races, program brought to you by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net. Today, Grade 3, Tampa Bay next, mile and a 16th on the turf, and here's Cellist.
Cellist has some speed and some talent, goes first time as a gelding, but he's got to step it up to beat these.
Graham Motion next door with English B as Hector Diaz Jr. aboard, 11-1.
Came off a good try in the Fort Lauderdale.
5-time winner. Over 460,000 on the grass. Here's Eons, who we saw going to break.
Did run second in this race last year.
For Arnaud Delacour, 5-time winner on the turf. Here's Cheryl's Spike, comes off a win.
And there's that pedigree we talk about again. Another grandson of Lady Cheryl.
Fly like an eagle, lightly raced for Tom Albertrani.
Yes, and we'll have to improve many lengths to win here. I like the 4, Richie.
La Imperator, the 6, Sam Camacho.
Yeah, Chad Brown runner who always tries.
Lasix back on this horse. That could be a very big factor with him.
Could be critical.
Get Smokin', very quick. Been off since the Grade 3 poker when beat by Alexandra back in 2021.
Been sold since his last race. I don't love the trainer switch away from Tom Bush, who retired, by the way.
Talk or listen, 19-1 also for Arnaud Delacour.
Oh, horse got some races that certainly would make him competitive here.
He was 4th, only beat 2 1/4 lengths in this race last year to Get Smokin'. Clear Vision, 6-1.
Clear Vision is going to find the turf course a little bit different here at Tampa Bay than last time out. I think he should be a huge price.
Devamani, 7-1 for Chad Brown.
It seems chilly on the board for a Chad Brown runner. Layoff shouldn't be an issue.
No, I thought he was a bad morning line favorite at 3-1, but I'm surprised he's this big a price.
Floriform went by, and here's the 12 Epic Bromance.
Kind of like what we got going on here on the desk.
Doesn't he look like he wants more distance? Not a bad horse. Just feels like he wants a little more ground, right?
More distance, and he does get a tough draw.
And his best race, he came in a mile and 3/8 when he won at Gulfstream. 4-1 is your favorite. Public does not know where to go. That's Get Smokin', who won this race last year. But Devamani, that is surprising. We talked about it earlier. Anytime Chad Brown is a number like that, we saw what just happened. He just won a race when the horse was 7-1. This horse, though, has credentials, a multiple graded stakes winner.
He does. He's an unreliable horse. But one thing he's been able to do is win for Chad Brown, and he wasn't winning for other trainers.
No, I thought he found his form last year. He had the layoff. I thought that's a big price for a Chad Brown runner. Layoffs don't seem to be an issue. Chad knows how to get them ready, puts a lot of foundation into them. But Devamani kind of got into a winning habit last year, or, last year only had 2 starts.
He was 1 for 2. He was 50%.
No, but
two of his last 3 starts, he won.
He won, yeah. So, I kind of find an interesting horse, although I thought he'd be a bigger price, is the 1 Cellist. He's going to have to step forward, but he is a 4-year-old now. His races at 3-year-old were good.
They were okay.
He could have taken a step forward, as he got a little bit older. And he returns as a gelding for a trainer who had a really good year last year, George Arnold. Doesn't work his horses fast. Look at his last work on the turf, 59. Did he grow up? Did he get better? Maybe gelding him helped? I just thought he was an interesting runner.
Okay. I just want to make a couple of quick points. First of all, something about Devamani. His 2 best races showing, give on the turf. No give in this ground. Ground's very firm. L'Imperator, we mentioned getting back on Lasix. That could help that horse. I want to mention, like you like the 1, I like the 4 Cheryl's Spite. This is a horse that was an okay field last time. This horse has run this horse. I mean, they ran this horse in the Woodbine Mile where he was 7-2 in his 3rd career start. He didn't run well, but he didn't get that bad a fig, and he's got a prep over the track. I think that he is a very interesting new face and could be an up-and-comer. Much like you think Cellist could move forward, I think he could be moving forward as well.
He is 7-1. I know you're super high on Emma Jane Wilson.
I think Emma Jane Wilson's a tremendous rider. Is one of the strongest finishers I've ever seen. She just really puts horses in position and knows how to finish on one.
And Andy, you made the point too. L'Imperator, Chad Brown, the other Chad Brown, Lasix back on here.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. And also, he comes out of a race that was pretty much a merry-go-round race and Atone actually didn't run badly in last week's race at Gulfstream. I think he was compromised by the pace, and I think getting back on Lasix is very key for him, and I think that's one of the reasons that Chad shipped this horse to Tampa, besides the opportunity, and he likes to run in the Tampa course, but I think he had to be concerned with this horse going off Lasix. I'm guessing, but I think getting back on Lasix could help him.
Forget Smoking, though, who's a very mild 4-1 favorite. He's too quick early for this group, right? I mean, he's going to be alone in front.
He is. And he's a good horse. I mean, he ran very well in the poker last time. That was a suicide pace, and he only lost by 4 lengths. He got things his own way when he won the Seek again, but he ran well against some good horses. I do think his speed. He won this race last year. I don't be Dora or Marquette. I don't love the trainer change. I'll be honest with you.
Well, the thing about Tom Bush trained the sire, Get Stormy, familiar with the family, has done well with the offspring of Get Stormy, did well with this horse. So I think if at best it's a lateral move.
At best, yeah. Listen, he's good. I mean, I don't.
No, absolutely.
This horse runs his race. I mean, he's going to be very tough in here, and I mean, I think he's going to be moving up front, Greg. But you're right, he is way too fast for these horses. This guy is fast.
We'll see how far he can stretch out that speed. Obviously, he can win at this distance, but he hasn't run since June of last year. So we'll see. Off the bench in a two-turn race like this, is that more difficult?
Well, it's tougher with a horse with his style because he tends to run more of the race. You get a horse that's like a closer, makes one run. It's easier to have them prepared to win off a layoff because they're just going to put in a 3/8 to a quarter to 3/8 of a mile run as opposed to kind of having to run the entire race.
Yeah, which is counter to turf racing in general. One of the reasons I think, a trainer can do well in routes and turf race off layoffs is what you're pointing to. With closers, they're running for about a quarter of a mile. Yeah. With a horse like this, you're right. He's going to have to be fit to make it go the whole way. It's a great point. I knew there was a reason we had you here.
Well, he's 4-1, and next to L'Imperator, actually that same price in the slight favorite next door. That other Chad Brown runner is the favorite right now, Sam Camacho.
Though Devimani's, the money's starting to come in on him. He's come down to 4-1. Yeah, I mean, the problem with L'Imperator is I don't know how good he is. But listen, he easily handled Temple, who did finish second at Stake down in Florida last week. I don't know how strong the race was, but and you look at him, you look at his last 4 races, right? 5 races, 3 without Lasix or losses, 2 with Lasix, they're wins.
It's a good point. And that throws another kind of equation into your handicapping when horses are eligible to race on Lasix and not eligible to race on Lasix.
And while, I understand it's an issue, and it is an issue, I think there's plenty of horses that have done just fine coming off Lasix. You hate the old thing is, well, it's an excuse when they lose. They don't notice it when they win. But I think with this horse, you can see some definitive, perhaps, evidence that he runs better with Lasix.
Well, absolutely, and it's an individual thing. I mean, at the end of the day, 90% of horses race on Lasix when about 10% of horses actually need it.
What about a horse he's obviously coming to this race the right way? Clear vision. He's won 3 of his last 4. He just added a grade 3 to his resume after being a claiming horse, really, before that. Is this too tough a test for him?
I don't think he's good enough to beat these, and I think there's a giant difference between running on that Gulfstream turf course and running on a course like this at Tampa. He can't make the lead with the presence of the 7 in this race, and he's a horse who's been able to control races. I will be shocked if he's competitive in here. But to be fair, he's been in good form, and he's continued that good form for his new trainer. He's pretty much, he was 2 for 38 last year. And he won a stake with him in just his second start with a second-place finish. But I think this is a completely different ball game, personally.
Jason Beam with the grade 3 Tampa Bay.
Big Bromance to the outside to complete the line. Goes in. They're in the gate. And the race is on the Tampa Bay Stakes. Tough start there for L'Imperator, who got squeezed back. English B gets smoking. Those two show the best early speed. Clear Vision was away in decent order, and Floriform toward the outside. But it is Get Smoking who leads him through that opening furlong. Floriform up on the outside now to press the question. English B, Clear Vision on the extreme outside. Epic Bromance, the top 5, covered by 2.5 lengths. Then we come back to Talk or Listen. Cheryl Spite, they race after that. L'Imperator is recovered after that bad beginning. It's a length and a half more, then back to Cellist, who's 4th last. Devimani is 3rd last, then comes Eons, and at the back early on is Fly Like an Eagle, 12th and last, at about 9 lengths off the lead with 5.5 furlongs remaining. 23-2 for the opening quarter mile. Get Smoking takes him on to the backstretch, a length and a half in front. A Floriform on the outside who races in the clear in 2nd. Epic Bromance is 3rd. English B stays toward the inside in 4th. Then comes Clear Vision in 5th. After that comes Cheryl Spite in the 6th spot. He's about 6 or 7 off the lead. Then we come back to Talk or Listen after that. To break of 2 more back to L'Imperator. Cella starts to get going between runners. Then comes Eons. Devimani is 2nd last right now, and Fly Like an Eagle is the trailer. 47-4. The time for the opening half mile, and Get Smoking takes him to the far turn, a length in front. Floriform is 2nd. Epic Bromance called upon from the outside is 3rd. English B stays down toward the inside. Takes over that 3rd spot as Epic Bromance drops back. Clear Vision passes that one. Chell is trying to run on. L'Imperator going to launch a bid, but is going to be cast out very wide. Meanwhile, up front, it's Get Smokin' who comes to the top of the stretch. Get Smokin' there by a length and a half to Floriform, who chases from second. English B swings toward the outside from third. Cheryl Spite has made up significant ground, trying to run on. A final 16th to go. Get Smokin', Floriform. Here's Cheryl Spite and Emma Jane down the outside. Cheryl Spite on the outside of Get Smokin'. Cheryl Spite 2, win it. Get Smokin' was second, Floriform third. English B was fourth, Photo for fifth.
Sherrills Spite, Emma Jane Wilson comes and Get Smokin', who was trying to go gate to wire off the bench.
Isn't that always the case? The Connections had a 4 to 5 shot in the other stake that got beaten. Now they got a bigger priced horse, and Richie, we were watching this horse, both of us, and once Emma found that seam, he exploded.
Yeah, she got to save ground. She picked her way through the field, was able to find that gap between horses. It looked like he was a little bit hesitant to go through. Once he got his head in there, Andy, though, you could see another horse with that acceleration. And I mean, great call by you. This was also a clear illustration I was talking about, Emma Jane Wilson and the way she can finish on a horse. She is really an impressive rider to watch.
Right. You weren't jinxing me. You said to me coming to the 16th ball, this horse got to win. You could see he was coming.
Oh, he was getting there.
And listen, Get Smokin' ran very well off the layoff. It wasn't a super fast pace, but 23-2 was moving along. And as you said to me when we were watching the race, I mean, he was in a good rhythm down the backstretch. I think he ran his race. He just turned out to be second best.
Yeah, he just got run down by a horse that was very well meant.
This race coming on with several weekdays during the meet. This could be the feature. This is a good group lining up in this first allowance condition group going a 1-turn mile ahead. Said downstairs to Maggie.
You said it, Greg. I couldn't agree more with you. This is a fascinating affair that we have here to lead us in to our feature, which is the Withers. But I want to start by talking about a horse who is second off of a layoff, unfortunately drawn on the rail and part of an entry for Rob Falcone is number 1, Starting Over, whom I thought needed his last start, but thought he was incredibly intriguing getting onto the dirt because he is a horse that had run well in his first 2 starts of his career, and then going on the layoff and coming back and winning a turf race. He just looks stronger, as a race typically does. It'll bring a horse up across their top line to strengthen that up for them, and I like what I'm seeing from him. We'll see what kind of trip Kendrick Carmouche can work out from that rail position, though. Then the horse that I just really like in here is number 7, Southern District, turning back to a 1-turn mile. I question him wanting 9 furlongs on the dirt. He's run fast enough to be a player in here on this surface, and I just think a 1-turn mile suits him so well physically because he's a bit broader, a bit more compact, and he does possess that kind of energy, and I think he looks great here in the flesh for Chad Brown, whose horses sometimes in the winter their coat kind of goes the wrong way, so the ones that show up looking very healthy from that perspective are usually the ones that run very well too, so liking Southern District.
You know, Chad is Dan Stupp is assistant trainer for Chad. He does a fabulous job. Worked for Tommy Albertrani for years.
Here's Starting Over to kick off the post parade, 6-1 on the rail.
Yeah, he's got to work out a trip, and he just looks to be probably better on the turf.
Other half of the entry, Castle Chaos, lightly raced and was a distant second and a happy medium second start of his career.
He's got a lot of speed. This is a tough move up.
Here's Chowda, Gary Siaka.
Chowda ran big last time, just missed. Brother to Lobster.
Third behind Miles D a few starts back as well. Here's Fitzpatrick.
Fitzpatrick would be a pick-6 killer for the vast majority of the players.
Minnesota bred. Here's 3 Jokers at 5-2.
Coming off a good effort at this distance here at Aqueduct, major player.
Bill Morey, tremendous meet and a horse with pace here and no burn.
His horses are running through walls, and he ran much better than it looks last time. He's the value probably right now.
Dust Devil, still the favorite for Belmont.
Yeah, comes off a 1 1/8 race, turns back to the mile distance, was third behind 3 Jokers, 2 back.
Southern District, his first time on dirt for Chad Brown. He ran a huge effort to break his maiden.
Maggie and I are on the same page with this horse. I like the cut back to the mile. I think he sits a good trip, and I like his chances.
And American Gentleman on the outside, 16-1. He ran a big effort, sprinting, though, last start.
Stretching out. I believe he'll be a major part of the pace early.
15-1 from that outside post. Grade 3 Withers on the road to the Kentucky Derby is next. First things first, this entry-level allowance here. 1-turn mile coming up. And back to Southern District for a moment, Andy. that maiden win, it was so good, and then we saw him at Saratoga. What did you make of that Saratoga race? That was a really good group he faced.
I thought he kind of got buried down in the. First of all, you're right. It was a very, very strong allowance race. I think was it opening day or opening weekend? It may have been opening day. And I think he kind of got caught behind horse a little bit, took a little dirt, and that main track was so favorable to forwardly placed horse at 1 1/8. I think it didn't suit him. It was a point of contention about running him on the turf, whether or not he was a turf horse or dirt horse, because he had run so well on the dirt. Obviously, listen, Chad Brown is arguably the best trainer, or as good a trainer as there is in the game. 4-time Eclipse Award winner. He wanted to give him a try on the turf, and I think maybe some of the thinking was he's a nice horse, but he's probably never going to be a stakes horse in the dirt. So let's see if he could be that kind of horse on the turf. It didn't work out. He got back to running faster buyers last time out. He ran in what turned out to be a fast race, but I'm with Maggie. I think this cut back to a one-turn mile is going to be absolutely perfect for him.
And the first time he's ever running around one turn in his entire career up to date.
Yeah, and I just think, he's going to get that pacer. Last time out, he was probably closer than was maybe made him most comfortable. I don't blame Manny. I don't think he rode him badly. I think you want to stay a little closer. In this race, with at least on paper an abundance of speed, maybe it gets away from him a little bit, and he gets to settle a little bit more and make that one run.
There he is, 4-1. Favorite, though, it's become 3 jokers, the 4 at 5-2. If he can back up what he did last time out, he's going to be very tough to beat here.
Yeah, I think that race makes him a major contender. You can forgive a couple races where the track was off. I think he's going to be sitting in the right spot. I think No Burn's part of the pace. I think the 8 American Gentleman's part of the pace, and he's probably sitting the comfortable stalking trip.
No, he's a perfectly logical horse in this race, Rich. I totally agree with you. I mean, Core Conviction, I know he blew up in the last race, but that doesn't mean anything. Core Conviction ran well. Now, he had a good trip last time, but he's probably going to get another good trip in this race. I mean, he and Dust Devil make a lot of sense. I don't think they're the wrong favorites.
Dust Devil was a length and a quarter behind him when they met back on December the 12th at Aqueduct. For Belmont, Jose Ortiz will be aboard, but a 2-time winner on this surface, 3-1 on Dust Devil. Few ways to go in this group. And, even we saw Chowda in that New York Stallion Series race. He ran a big figure in that race. Could he surprise in here at 10-1, or you just don't think he's up to it?
The number 2 in here, Chowda, I don't think he has a prayer. First of all, he's the inside speed on a racetrack where you don't want to be inside. Sibelius, who beat him last time, is inferior to who he's running against today. He ran a big figure 3 back. The Miles D race, yes, that gives him a chance. Whereas at a race, and his running style puts him at a real disadvantage in here, so I don't like him.
Yeah, that's kind of why I downgraded his chances, because he's the inside speed. I mean, even the 1A, Castle Chaos, right outside of him could have some speed. American Gentleman stretching out off sprints is going to have speed, and No Burn is going to be involved with the 7-pound apprentice, Jose Gomez. One thing that you can usually count on with apprentices, they don't get in the horse's way that much. I don't think he's going to be trying to get fancy and teach New Burn to rate today.
Okay. No, I agree he's going to go. Now, the question is how fast they go inside of him. I just hope that Jose stays off the rail, if you like this horse, because he has been. Apprentices are told to save ground a lot. It's hard to do. To expect apprentices to be as attuned to the bias as a veteran, that's being unfair.
Castle Chaos, too, the 1A, just his 4th start of his career, first time going a mile. Wide open, 7th here from Aqueduct. Let's go upstairs. John Imbrial with the call.
And they're off. American Gentleman goes out for the lead as Chowda is now hustled up. Chowda going up now to challenge American Gentleman, and the two of them are right together. And then comes Castle Chaos, who is racing in 3rd, but passed on the outside there by No Burn. No Burn takes 3rd. Castle Chaos is next in 4th, with Fitzpatrick alongside in 5th. Almost 3 lengths back to Southern District in 6th. Starting over the gray down towards the rail in 7th. 3 lengths to 3 Jokers and 2.5 more to Dust Devil, who trails the field in 9th. The quarter, 23 3/5 seconds over the off track, and it is Chowda at the rail. And on the outside, American Gentleman. They are stride for the lead. It's a length and a half. Back to the trio of Castle Chaos. Now moving on through there is Fitzpatrick. And on the outside is No Burn, opening half in 47 2. And now Fitzpatrick is gaining ground on the outside with No Burn. Chowder has dropped out of it. And American Gentleman is down at the rail in third. Southern District now makes his move. Southern District is gained on the outside. So it is No Burn and Fitzpatrick with Southern District on the outside. American Gentleman down towards the rail and racing in fourth, followed by Starting Over, who's on the extreme outside. And then it is Castle Chaos, and it is Southern District out in the middle of the track who has stormed to the lead. Southern District in front and pouring it on here. Southern District in front by 7 lengths. The battle clearly will be for second. A clear-cut winner, Southern District, 2 in a row for jockey Manny Franco. And it looked like 3 jokers came from out of it to complete the exacta.
You might have spoken too soon. Maybe this is an eventual stakes horse on the dirt.
This was a horse. You could see it on the turn. Richie and I were watching it, that he was just loaded.
When Manny Franco took about his 4th look under his over his shoulder, under his arm, looking back, you knew he was loaded, had a ton of horse. There was, I think, look number 4, and he set him down out in the right part of the track, and he just powered away. I mean, he was decidedly best. Andy, you like this horse? And he delivered in a big way. His first start around 1 turn. 3 jokers, second best. Rally got up for second under Trevor McCarthy, but man, Southern District looked like he's on to bigger and better things.
This is a field with some runners with some ability, and he put them away.
No, I mean, you weren't kidding, to be honest. I mean, I think they have to consider the stymie at a mile that's coming up here, I think, in late March for him, the way he ran. I mean, this was different. And Maggie, Maggie and I agreed. I like it when Maggie and I agree. We'll look at, she's not that she doesn't handicap. She's actually a good handicapper, but when she sees the things in the paddock as well that convince him, and, I mean, he keeps running these kind of races. He's got a little bit of a future, this guy.
Southern District, a mile the best here. Looks sensational. For just the 2nd win of his career, gets through his first allowance condition. What will be next? Klarovich Stables, Chad Brown, Manny Franco team up for the win. Long way back to 3 jokers in second. Castle Chaos winds up 3rd. Grade 3 Withers is next on the road to the Kentucky Derby. First, let's head back to Tampa. Cheryl Spite takes the Grade 3 Tampa Bay. Roger Atfield, Emma Jane Wilson, Charles Fipke.
This guy ran. I tell you something. He's got to probably move forward to get into the better turf horses, but the way he ran today, he deserves a chance, doesn't he?
He ran well. When he got out from in between horses, he really lowered his body and finished strong. And I'm kind of seeing Richard Dreyfuss and Let It Ride with you. You're having a good day.
No, I've had a good last 20 minutes. I wouldn't say I'm having a great day. The last 20 minutes have been good, Richie. The day is a long way from over.
$21 for the win. Cheryl Spite, that was impressive. That's back-to-back races where this horse has really been very, very good, but this time doing it in Grade 3 company. So Grade 3 Tampa Bay in the books. Grade 3 Withers, it is next. Chad Brown. Can early voting bring him back-to-back runnings of the Withers? Constitutional lawyer. Not if he has anything to say about it. We'll be back.
Good Magic's in front. Good Magic pulls away from Solomini. Good Magic's gonna win his first race, and he's gonna do it in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Good Magic to the front of the field in the Toyota Bluegrass to win it. The champ is back. Good Magic in a good-looking performance.
800,000, 75, 875, 8.5. Pete, 775,000. Thank you.
Blood Horse Plus, available through bloodhorse.com, provides exclusive, timely, and unmatched content to subscribers, including Fox Sports, Blood Horse branded weekly programs, a detailed stakes winners section, behind-the-scenes videos from Blood Horse staff, on-demand access to deeper horse statistics, and a $5 monthly credit to equineline.com. Upgrade to Blood Horse Plus today.
This is the horse.
He is just too good.
This is the horse who became only the 2nd champion 2-year-old to win the Travers in 3 decades. This is the horse who is the only Breeders' Cup juvenile hero ever to lift the Belmont Stakes. History-making brilliance. That's his essential quality. Essential quality This is the horse. Just imagine.
This season at Oaklawn, we've got more of everything. More of the top thoroughbreds in the world. More days of live racing. And the largest purses in our history. All at a completely reimagined Oaklawn. Come be a part of this historic season at Arkansas's only casino resort.
We're back on America's Day at the Races. The road to the Derby next with the Grade 3 Withers. Our program brought to you in part by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. What a performance we just saw in race 7. Southern District started out on grass, then looked sensational, breaking his maiden on dirt. Put him back on grass, now back on dirt. He looks good again.
I mean, I don't think we have to worry about him running on the turf again in the future. I mean, this is, yeah, you have to think stakes after this, don't you, Richie?
This was impressive. In the last 16th of a mile being geared down, I love when horses' ears come up and they're just kind of floating through the wire. Really enjoyed himself and won with something left.
I mean, it's another horse today. We talked about it with Drafted earlier that you could just see on the turn. The race, I mean, races are not usually like this, are over, but it was just over. Yeah. He was just running in a different manner than the rest of them.
Totally dominant. And maybe the horse is just taking a little bit longer to figure out. The equipment changed today, and they know what they have now.
And that's a fast time on today's racetrack, 1:38.3. I mean, we're going to see a Withers that's probably going to be run around 1:53 to 1:54. I'm just sort of pulling that out of the air. You're not going to see a fast final time in the Withers. And I'll tell you what, the Chad Brown-Klarovich double, and you look at Muley Race Bets, early voting, he is an enormous favorite in this Withers. Wow. I mean, I'm a little surprised.
Our ABR race of the week, it is next. 19 minutes to post. Grade 3 Withers. Points on the line to qualify for this year's Kentucky Derby. And speaking of early voting, there he is, 8-5, the 9-horse for Klarovich Stables. Chad Brown, he went first time out as an odds-on favorite in his debut at a mile distance. That is not easy to do.
Yeah, I mean, one thing, I mean, pedigree isn't everything, Richie, but gun runner, a Tisnow broodmare, he's supposed to be able to run all day.
Yeah, Gun Runner, the hottest first crop sire that I can remember in a very long time. Made a huge
Uncle Mo,
impact.
maybe?
I mean,
he might even be better.
Maybe even better. I mean, it really made a big splash.
It's been incredible. We'll see if this horse can continue on, take that next step onto this road to the Triple Crown. He is the 8-5 favorite, as mentioned. Well, today's road to the Kentucky Derby, of course, highlighted here in New York with the Grade 3 Withers. First run all the way back in 1874 at Jerome Park. This race is rich in history and at one time was one of the great races in America.
Here is Risk Taking to take over the lead in deep stretch, and it will be Risk Taking to win the 141st running of the Withers.
Named in honor of David Dunham Withers, the Withers Stakes has been contested at 5 different racetracks since its inauguration in 1874. Part of the ownership team responsible for Monmouth Park, Withers was integral in the formation of the Jockey Club, and his Brookdale Farm was one of the most elite thoroughbred nurseries in the world. From its inception, the Withers Stakes has attracted quality horse flesh, with champions such as Dr. Fager and Aqueduct possessing Withers victories. In each decade, from the 1870s through the 1960s, at least one winner of the Withers Stakes was inducted into the Sports Hall of Fame. Only the Belmont Stakes and Travers Stakes can rival that record during that time. 2 of the top thoroughbreds of all time, Man o' War and Native Dancer, did not win the Kentucky Derby, but accomplished their own Triple Crown by winning the Preakness, Withers, and Belmont Stakes. Aloma's Ruler and Bernardini captured the Withers and the Preakness. Sir Winston was 4th in the Withers before winning the Belmont Stakes. There's a Hall of Fame pedigree with previous notable winners of this race. Sir Barton, Triple Crown winner. Added the Withers that year. Man o' War, Native Dancer, Dr. Fager. What a list.
Count Fleet, a Triple Crown winner. 2 Triple Crown winners.
Very strong list. Native Dancer. Should have been a Triple Crown.
Gone West. I mean, Gone West, trained by the late, great Bruce Johnstone, one of my all-time favorite horses.
Who will take the next step today? Wide open. Talk about lightly raced. Early voting, we don't know what we're going to get this afternoon. Tough to win first time out, going a mile, but this is a whole different test today.
I agree. It's a very different race. We've changed it. We switched things up to keep these race lights. By the way, Woody Stevens trained Gone West.
Well, yeah.
Bruce Johnstone trained the Dam. The Dam, right. I knew you knew that. We've moved things around and made this. And, you know, some people say, you know, why do you go from the Jerome at a mile to a mile and an eighth for the Withers, then a mile in the Gotham, and then a mile and an eighth? I think it works out well because they're not all on the same schedule the way horses race. And now people can use the Gotham as a prep for the Wood Memorial, or this becomes a prep for the Wood Memorial as well. So I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And it's turning into a good race. And this is this is a terrific running.
11 horse field lining up. We got the top 4 finishers coming back out of the Jerome. But the new shooter, early voting, remains the favorite right now. Chad Brown, Klarovich Stables, Jose Ortiz will be aboard. First try against winners. First time going a mile and an eighth in just start number 2. Well, our post parade coming up. There he is, the son of Gunrunner, trying to take that next step for the 4-time champion trainer Chad Brown when we return here in the Withers. No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit nairabets.com.
Alpha has swept to the front. It's Alpha in front. How Do I Win battles on in second. Then it's Spite City. Hakamuran on the outside. It's Tiger Walk. Alpha leads by 3 with a 16th out. Then Spite City and How Do I Win. And Alpha has won the Withers as the big favorite here. Alpha by 3.
Yeah, Alpha was the 1-5 favorite back in 2012. He would go on to dead heat in the Travers that year and then go on to win another Grade 1, the Woodward, as a 4-year-old.
Yeah, big upset in the Woodward, actually. I think it was about 6-1. Alpha ran some good races at a time. He was a heavy favorite in that Travers. I think he was
1-5.
No, in the Travers.
Oh, in the Travers.
Yeah,
yes.
I think he was on even money or something. 2-1, maybe 2-1. Golden Ticket.
Golden Ticket.
I have it here if you want to know.
I'd like to know.
240 to 1.
2-1. You know, you could have just said 2-1, Greg. You didn't have to be so exact.
Mig, you won a Withers for Kieran McLaughlin.
For Kieran McLaughlin, trainer of Alpha, Mr. Fantasy. They recycled the name a little quickly for another.
Well, they were recycling a traffic song, so there you go.
Here's the look at the upcoming Derby preps. Holy Bull, Robert B. Lewis, Sam F. Davis, El Camino Real Derby, all in the next few days. And 10 points with all of these races going to the winner of the race to get into that starting gate for the first Saturday in May. Wide open group here. We'll take a look at the Holy Bull and the return of Mo Donegal, who had that showdown with Zandon when we last saw him here in New York.
I mean, Richie, I don't know about you, but Mo Donegal is very high on my list of Derby horses right now.
Well, I think because we both feel, maybe I'm putting words in your mouth, that 1.25 miles should suit him well. He's a horse that looks like he wants more ground. He's a horse that looks like he's figuring the game out. First time he ever ran more in the bridle was this Remsen. He hits the front here, and he's got a rival that was going to fight him for it in Zandon. And Zandon's trying to fight back on the inside. Mo Donegal and Irad Ortiz are going to kind of drift over and lean hard on Johnny Velasquez and Zandon.
A little arm help there from Irad.
A little bit of an elbow.
Probably should have come down.
I think that could have warranted disqualification, no doubt. The good news, both of these colts showed their quality in the Remsen.
Oh, I think Zandon ran the better race. I mean, he was coming from a 6-furlong race, whereas Mo Donegal had already won that race going longer, and he did more dirty work. He was wider. Mo Donegal was saving ground in the race, and I think he ran a better race. But right now, I mean, and there's a long, long way to go for the Derby, and I mean, nobody knew who early voting was at the time we ran that Remsen. You know, a long way from knowing who the major Derby contenders are.
His 3-year-old debut, Mo Donegal, coming up in just a couple of hours down in South Florida. Meanwhile, Grade 3 Withers is next. This Derby prep test, 6-5 on early voting, who is giving up a lot of experience, but talent can overcome a lot of experience.
Yeah, but from a gambling standpoint, early voting is massively overbet at 6-5 right now. You know, when they won this race last year, the risk-taking, he was coming off a maiden win. It wasn't a very strong field. I think there's a lot of horses in here that look pretty good. And I think even last year, the horse risk-taking won. He'd run a faster buyer figure. I'm not knocking early voting. I get that he's the horse to beat, but 6-5 in this field?
Well, let's head downstairs to Maggie for more.
Kind of on the same page, Andy. I'm not going to be surprised when we do see early voting win here, but it is a bit of a step. Now, granted, he did win at a 1-turn mile first time out, so it is, though, a bit of a step to face winners in a graded stake and go out to the 2-turn mile and an 1/8. Now, I actually was not in the paddock that day when he won, but he was a prohibitive favorite on paper, despite not having any running lines. He was a favorite too, because I don't know how good that race overall ultimately was. He's a solid horse. He looks like the typical gun runners that I have seen so far in his freshman crop. He is maybe just a little bit softer around the edges than some of these horses who have a bit more foundation than he. So I do think it's a little bit of an ask for this horse just physically. Now, Chad Brown has said that he has gone on and trained well since then, but also kind of screaming, almost acting as if this is his first time in the paddock here. So we'll see what he does. Like I said, not totally against him, but taking a short price, I think you are taking the worst of it. Now, taking a look at number 4, Gilded Age here, who does come off of a layoff, the son of Medaglia d'Oro out of the Dam, who won the Grade 1 Chandelier as a 2-year-old. His first 3 races were against really tough and nice horses, obviously ones that have won graded stakes since then. His race breaking his maiden, not against the toughest horses, but he did have trouble in the race 2 back at Keeneland. And despite running in New York first time out, this is actually the first time I'm laying eyes on him. And with the pedigree in mind, of course, he's incredibly good looking, but he's also fit. He looks strong coming back here off the bench, and while he has run the 2 turns in his 3 previous starts, therefore I think that lays a nice foundation for a horse who's just crying out to go even longer than the 1 1/16 in which he won at. So the 1 1/8 here sets him up well. He presents himself, it just makes a lovely picture here in the paddock. And while he's been preparing in South Florida at Belmont's home base in the wintertime of Payson Park, it shows. You know, some of these horses who have been running running and training here in New York don't look quite as good as he, but I do like that move when horses ship up from the warmer climates to a cool climate here too. He's not a horse that's had any interruptions in his training leading up to this, where some of these horses trained in New York with the weather have. So I think Gilded Age is up for the task of facing winners in this Grade 3 Withers here on the comeback, Greg.
Maggie, thanks. He's 7-1, the 4-horse for Hall of Famer Belmont. He added blinkers last start, produced the best performance he has ever run at Churchill. Now comes his 3-year-old debut.
Listen, I feel as though the 2 long shots, the 7 and 8, are rank outsiders. There's nobody else in here that's impossible. Mr. Jefferson shouldn't be 60-1. He should be half the price the 7 and 8 are, frankly, because he ran well 2 back. I'm not going to knock anybody. I think Gilded Age has to step up a lot, but they're young horses, Richie, and they can.
Yeah, and it took him a while to figure out the game. You look at his running lines, his first 3 starts where he was well beaten pretty much every start, veered out at the start, broke slow. He's a horse that kind of figuring the game out. They added blinkers. He took a step forward. Now he's had a bit of time to grow up, get a little sun on his back in Florida at Payson Park, training there. And for Belmont to ship this horse up here to give him a try, he must have liked the progression he saw from 2 to 3.
Dan was a Grade 1 winner as well. Was actually the favorite, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. She didn't perform all that well, but did win a Grade 1 as a 2-year-old.
I will say, though, everybody has Derby fever, and rightfully so, and especially this year when there's absolutely no standout there. Jack Christopher, but we don't know if he can get the distance, and he seems unlikely to make the Derby.
Yeah.
So everybody really wants to try now, and Bill probably said, well, I could stay in Florida and run against Mo Donegal and a much tougher field, or I could ship up where there's just a lot of question marks, where I'm in the same boat as a lot of people. So I think it was the right move to ship up here.
It's a very fair point, and a lot of times we see those horses that get to train in Florida come up here, cooler air. He kind of gets up under their tail, and they outrun themselves because just getting out of the warmer weather and training down there is just so good for them.
Yeah, and back to your point, as we look at Courvoisier, the Jerome winner, and his resume, this race it's in a lot of ways just kind of a testing ground to see what these people have. Do they have a horse who can continue on this Derby trail?
100%, Greg. I mean, that's what you're doing. And the realistic trainers and owners are the ones that they try a spot like this, and if they see a real reason to move forward, they're going forward to a race like the Wood Memorial to try to get the Derby. And if you're realistic and want to give your horse its best chance moving forward, if you're not up to task, you take a step back. You run into non-winners of 1. Maybe ultimately the horse will turn out to be a good horse, but give a lot of horse a chance to be a good horse.
Well, I've seen a lot of horses kind of get forced into the Derby in that position, and I would like to believe that if I ever trained horses, I would avoid that pitfall and not get caught up in Derby fever, but they're 3-year-olds once in their life. They have one opportunity for it, so everybody wants to see if they can make it.
Taking a shot one start in a race like this is not necessarily Derby fever. It's just seeing what you have.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's also okay to say you have Derby fever. It's just as long as you get realistic after taking a shot here. And by the way, you can run 4th in here and still think, I want to take a shot going forward. But if you run 7th and your horse has no excuse and just wasn't good enough, give the horse a chance.
Post parade here coming up in a moment. Top 4 finishers again coming out of the Jerome. And the horse who won that race, Courvoisier, he is 6-1. Here we start things off with Constitutional Lawyer. Again, the rail. Maggie told us earlier in the show, Ray Handel worked out his issues of those poor starts out of the gate.
Yeah, and the fact that he has 2 starts already at 1 1/8 and he gets an inside draw, he's got to get off the rail.
Grantham, Mike Maker.
I like this horse a lot. He comes out of a key race in his debut at Churchill Downs. I think there's an argument that 62 buyer probably should be in the 80s, and if it was, he'd be one of the favorites.
He makes a nice appearance warming up. Here's Smarten Up. He was second to Courvoisier in the Jerome.
And he did something very few horses did that weekend. He came from well back to do it.
Gilded Age, Bill Mott, 6-1.
Yeah, horse that took a big step forward in his 4th start with the addition of blinkers and maybe has another move forward in him.
Courvoisier, the Jerome winner for Kelly Breen.
You mentioned his brilliant pedigree, and he's starting to run to it. He had a good trip last time, but you know what? Maybe he takes another step forward.
Unbridled Bomber, he was 4th in the Jerome behind Courvoisier.
I thought he ran okay. He didn't break particularly well, and he also closed ground and kind of made his move in the middle of the race more.
No need to worry. He ran big at Parks, and the dam actually produced recruiting ready.
I actually think that's what a lot of people said when they got to this horse.
20.
I just thought of that. I just want you to say I wasn't working on that for a while.
35-1 on the 7 coming in for Parks. Here's Un Ojo, Anthony Dutrow.
One-eyed horse ran big last time in the Stallion Stakes. This is tougher.
Early voting. Start number 2 in the favorite.
It's the curse of success. He ran well in his debut. He might be the goods, but taking 6-5 on him under those circumstances seems like an underlay.
58-1, Mr. Jefferson.
Ran okay in the Remsen. Last time was well beaten, but that was in the slop.
Why is he 60-1?
Big price.
And 8-1, Cook Creek, who was 3rd in that Jerome.
I think he's going to get the right trip today, even from his outside post, and a better one than last time. I think he has a chance, and I agree with the public who's betting him a little bit here.
This could be a big moment for young Ray Handel. He sends out constitutional lawyer from the rail. Let's go to Maggie for more.
Yeah, pleased to be here with the birthday boy, Ray Handel, and happy birthday, Ray. But talking about Constitution Lawyer, a horse that, yes, rode a little bit of a bias last time to a victory, but we saw a much sharper horse. Today, the bias is the other way around. What were your instructions for Jose Lascano does he go to the lead? Does he extricate himself from the rail?
Yeah, we talked briefly. I mean, you know, he's a professional. He's ridden the card all morning long, or all afternoon long. He knows what he's doing. I told him, you know, if we can break on top and come out of there running, maybe he can angle out a little bit, because the rail definitely seems to be kind of dead today, and just kind of go from there and see what happens.
And Ray, too, you mentioned to me that you bounced this horse out of the gate a couple days ago. What does that do for a horse?
Just sharpens him up, reminds him, keeps his mind on racing. He's a horse that's just been lacking a little bit of focus at times, and you know, typical of a young three-year-old that's just turned, you know, just freshly turned 3, maturing into themselves. Sometimes it just takes a little while for their mind to get focused on racing, and sometimes breaking from the gate can sharpen them up and get them where you need them to be.
Well, Ray, wishing you the best of luck, and here's to maybe getting your first Greatest Stakes victory.
Hope so. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Ray Handel, as he is fresh off of celebrating his birthday yesterday, sends out Constitution Lawyer. We'll see what he can do off that maiden-breaking performance last time, Greg.
Maggie thinks he got the lead in that maiden win. Can he get the lead again today?
No, I don't think he's fast enough, and I don't think you want to. I think if you have him, you don't want to get forced into the pace, because if he gets forced into the pace, he's going to end up stuck on the rail the whole way. And Ray's a pretty sharp guy, and I imagine he's thinking with Jose Lascano, the 2, the 5, the 9 can all run away from him, get off the rail behind them.
But from the inside, you don't want to get swallowed up, do you?
No.
In this case, you do.
Well, but you know what? My personal opinion and the way I would handle it is I would allow him to go out forward enough, make those guys commit, make them go on a little bit. That creates your separation.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I just think they're going to go faster than him early, and I think he's going to
that's fine. I want to get outrun,
Yeah.
but I don't want to allow them to fold up and close down on me, slow it down, and now other horses are on my outside, and I'm locked into that spot.
Right, as you like to say, don't come out of there deciding you're going to rate until they prove it. I just want to briefly talk about my pick, Grantham, here. This horse's debut, the winner came back and totally bombed, was virtually eased in a stake. The other 8 runners to come back have run a Beyer figure of an average of 19.95 points higher. Every single one of them ran better. To me, that's a true key race. Liked a horse out of the race and ran a maiden race down at Oaklawn. He lost, but he ran 25 Beyer points faster. I just think it's one of these races where maybe the figure is accurate, but the reality is it doesn't transfer to being accurate. Maybe this horse should have got a figure of closer to 80. And if he got that 80, you know, you look at his synthetic race, he's better on the dirt. He's supposed to be able to stretch out. He has a pedigree to stretch out. We'll see if he's good enough. And also, drawing inside didn't help him, but I'm hoping he gets the right trip.
With more on Grantham, let's go to Maggie.
Well, I was a bit dubious of Grantham really wanting the dirt, but after I watched him warm up, I'm convinced that returning to this surface is A-OK. Really floated over the track, and a horse that, watching that synthetic performance, really had to grind out the victory. You know, he was never totally traveling. He just kept coming, and boy, you can see that with him physically. Really long, scopy horse, yet very laid back, and like I said, I don't think his performance, as Andy kind of alluded to as well, was enhanced by the fact of him, despite having turf pedigree, switching to the synthetic. I think this horse could run very well at a square price of 11-1, Greg.
All right, well, both Maggie and Andy agree here.
Well, Kirk Wyckoff, who owns the 2, assured me that Maggie would like the 2. She said she's going to love this horse when she sees him.
Grade 3 Withers on the road to the Kentucky Derby. 10 points to the winner to get into that starting gate. John Imbrial with the call. It's early voting, the 9, the favorite. That's your favorite early voting, being a little stubborn.
He saw the odds. He's like, I'm under so much pressure right now.
He's a little reluctant, and I don't know if this is in or out of character for him because I don't recall him loading in the first start if he did it well or not. But, you know, you don't want to read too much into these things if a horse doesn't have a proven track record of doing something.
Yeah, I mean, we've just seen so many horses when we've been doing this show, for whatever reason, balked at the start and acted up and then come out and run fine, so.
Meanwhile, Courvoisier is cool as can be, waiting as we see Mr. Jefferson step in. Let's go back upstairs. John Imbrial with a grade 3 Withers.
Cook Creek goes in. We are set for the start. And they're off. And early voting is sent right out for the early lead. Constitution Lawyer down at the rail, and Courvoisier is alongside. Then comes Grantham, who is racing in 4th. Mr. Jefferson's next in 5th. Cook Creek on the extreme outside is running in 6th. And then Unbridled Bomber next in 7th, followed by Gilded Age in 8th. Smarten Up is down on the inside in 9th, followed by No Need to Worry and Un Oho. The 11 3-year-olds are heading for the Aqueduct backstretch. And it is the favorite, Early Voting, who leads here by a length and a half. Courvoisier is in 2nd, the opening quarter mile in 23 and 2/5 seconds. Constitution Lawyer sits in 3rd, about 4.5 lengths off the lead. Then it's another 2.5 to Grantham, who's running in 4th. Unbridled Bombers down on the inside in 5th. Then comes Cook Creek and Mr. Jefferson, a 5-length gap back to a Gilded Age. Half mile in 48 seconds. Early Voting setting the pace here and leading by a little more than 2 lengths. Courvoisier remains in 2nd as the field now heads for the far turn. Early Voting moves up by 3 lengths now. Courvoisier is next in 2nd. Grantham is on the extreme outside and gaining some ground from 3rd. Then Mr. Jefferson, followed by Unbridled Bomber, who is dropping back. Cook Creek, Gilded Age now makes his move on the extreme outside. But Early Voting has now built a 6-length lead. Ran 3/4 in 1:14 and 1. Grantham moving into 2nd. Gilded Age is on the outside. It is Early Voting with the lead in the stretch. Early Voting in front now by 8 lengths. Gilded Age on the outside takes 2nd, and Grantham is next in 3rd. It is Early Voting who is isolated here. A late move here from Gilded Age, Grantham, and towards the inside, Un Oho. It is Early Voting who was on top right from the start, and Early Voting wins the Withers wire to wire. Big long shot. Un Oho got up for 2nd. Gilded Age was 3rd, and Grantham finished 4th.
Early Voting, 2 for 2. He was razor sharp out of the gate, shot to the lead, and never looked back.
Man, you saw Jose Ortiz said, you know what, I'm not getting caught wide. I don't want to go all the way to rail, but this horse is shifty. He showed a lot of versatility, just a lot of nimbleness to be able to do that.
And you said it to me in the backstretch, and you were dead right. 23:57. They are moving along to be going that quickly. And I know someone will say, well, he was getting a little tired at the end. I mean, I was a little tired just watching the race. I mean, I'm not saying this performance thrust this horse into the conversation for the Derby.
This is his second start, going from a mile to a mile and an eighth against much tougher company. He took no prisoners. He blitzed the field. He had about 7 or 8 length lead turning for home. He had every right to get a little bit leg weary. Drifted down to the rail, not the place you really want to be mid-stretch. Did tire a bit. This was impressive and a really nice run from the runner-up here, Un Ojo. Big price gets up for second.
And you know, we talked about how slow the track was when I said they're going to run around 154. Well, they won almost close to 156. It also, by the way, shows you how fast that race was by Southern District, the race before this.
Yes.
You know, it's hard to make these numbers. It's the only 2-turn race of the day. But visually, I mean, he could not have been more impressive, Richie.
I'm impressed. And the way he was doing it early, Craig, his ears up. He was like in front, but he was just kind of rating himself along, even though he was going quickly for the racetrack today. There's a lot of positive out of this. This horse did thrust himself in the 3-year-old picture.
How about having a game plan out of the gate, too?
No, this was a plan. He wanted to do it, you know, and it's interesting. You know, you look at, obviously, Clarvich Stables, they're big players in the game. They had almost nothing as far as their, you know, a lot of nice turf horses, but prospects, everybody wants to be in the Triple Crown Trail. Well, this thrust them right into the conversation.
Absolutely. Second start to do this. This is impressive. This is like a kid going from playing Little League baseball to jumping into like the minor leagues and hitting one out of the park.
No, this is, I mean, another gun runner. And I mean, this, basically there were 2 races taking place here. Would you guys agree with that? Basically, this horse was in one race and everybody else was in a completely different race.
Absolutely.
And nobody from the Jerome, by the way, did any running.
Un Ojo at 28-1. Winds up second, out dueling Gilded Age for third, but no question, your winner in a league all by himself here. Early voting, perfect 2 for 2, both winning route races now. A gun runner on the Triple Crown Trail.
Listen, I'm very happy for Seth Klarman. I mean, he's a good friend, and you know, and I'm just happy to see this situation. But this horse is exciting. I mean, it's the time of year you can start getting excited. Maybe I have to go to the Derby again.
Interesting performance here, and yeah, he's certainly in the mix now. We'll see what comes next. Would you think wait, go to the Wood?
Yeah, I would think they would wait. It'll be interesting because Chad Brown's original plan, I mean, he didn't have a lot of, was Zandon to the Wood. And he's supposed to maybe run the Risen Star. He's not going to run Zandon against this horse. And you imagine he'll stay in New York, so it'll be interesting. It's a good position to be in if you're Chad Brown, to have 2 horses that you're considering which one to run in the Wood, and then the Bluegrass, the other one.
And you would want to keep them separate because you want to give them their opportunity to accumulate the points they're going to need to get in the Derby field.
I agree. It's exciting.
Impressive performance. We'll be back to wrap it up in just a moment. We got more action we got to bring you from Tampa Bay. Race 9. 6 furlong sprint, 8,000 non-winners at 2 lifetime group. Here it is in progress.
Third moves to the outside. First Gold flattened out a little bit toward the inside. Lyrical going to shift toward the far outside. Bright and Shiny takes over the lead just outside the furlong pole. Gone Dreaming up alongside, trying to get to that one. Has a final 16th to push on by. It's Bright and Shiny. Gone Dreaming on the outside. Bright and Shiny has to make 50 more yards. Bright and Shiny's holding on. Bright and Shiny got it at 18-1. Second was Gone Dreaming. Third was Lyrical.
So that from moments ago, Bright and Shiny, Adamar Santos, Walter Woodard, and Dara Kozan gets its second win of her career, $38 winner. And look at that exacta, 18-1 over 12-1.
Richie told me it's all the 12 in here. It's a shame you didn't have a chance to talk about it.
I
hope you spent more time in that race than I did.
12-7-3. Meanwhile, back in the Withers, Jose Ortiz aboard the victory on early voting. Let's go downstairs to Maggie.
He ships back in here to New York, takes both graded stakes today, Jose. We saw you with early voting to come back here to ride this horse. How good is he?
Yeah, I really liked him, and I wanted to come ride him. He's very good. He has done everything we asked for, and one step at a time, I think we're going the right way.
He bounced out of the gate, flew out of the gate after not wanting to go into it. Was that the plan from the get-go?
Well, I thought the one has some speed. I was planning to sit second, but the way he broke, there was no way I was going to sit behind somebody. He had the lead clearly by 2 lengths going to the first turn, and I wasn't giving that away.
1 at a mile and an eighth and only a second start. Is he a classic distance horse?
I think so. He like I say, one step at a time, he's doing everything we asked for.
Let you go catch your flight. Congrats, Jose. He has to go catch a flight back to South Florida. I wish I was on the flight with him, Greg, because it is awfully cold, but what a way to ship back in here to New York in taking the Grade 3 Withers as well as a toboggan earlier.
Early voting, incredibly impressive here 2 career starts, 2 wins, grade 3 in the resume, some Derby points as well, and a horse who's a very exciting prospect.
You said it all.
But it's not. It wasn't just him winning and winning by open lengths. Doing it in his second start. This was a huge step up in class, step up in distance. And he passed every test. And this is not an easy thing to do. Everything's about progression and having a foundation. Well, you know his trainer puts a foundation as far as a fitness standpoint in the morning. But to do this in the afternoon against better company, I'm impressed.
And some may see the final time. And I don't know how fast or slow it ultimately is. It's only a 2-turn race. But that was a very, very fast pace that was being set in there. So this is a horse that, from a pace perspective, ran even better than the final performance looks.
Chad Brown potentially with 2 of the leading contenders on the road to the Derby, if he can get Jack Christopher there as well. Early voting. Withers winner. We'll be back.
This proven son of A.P. Indy has sired over 50 stakes winners and well over 100 stakes horses. Recent top performers include Search Results, winner of the Grade 1 Acorn Stakes and a hard-fought second in the Kentucky Oaks, plus these standout performers. In the auction ring, his progeny continued to command top dollar. 2-year-olds by Flatter sold up to $625,000. Flatter, standing at Claiborne Farm.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than America'sBestRacing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. America'sBestRacing.net is a sport for you. Live it, love it, bet it.
Harris Farms, proudly standing Smiling Tiger, a triple Grade 1 winner, defeating Breeders' Cup champions Dancing in Silks and Amazombie, a leading California sire with over $9.7 million in progeny earnings, with 94 winners in 2021 and graded stakes superstars like Spice Perfection.
Spice Perfection wins the Grade 1 La Brea.
And Tiger Dad. Smiling Tiger, a leading California sire, standing at Harris Farms. It pays to be Cal-bred.
Introducing Adelphi Racing Club, the horse racing syndicate offering more than just fractional ownership. Enjoy the thrill of an interactive thoroughbred ownership experience competing at the sport's highest level. Attend events where you'll interact with top trainers, industry professionals, and club members. We've cheered on winners from coast to coast at top tracks such as Santa Anita and Saratoga.
And it will be Exotic West.
Become part of a group that celebrates success together. Visit AdelphiRacing.com and join the club today.
Back on America's Day at the Races on FS2, we just saw a sensational performance in this Derby prep. It was our ABR race of the week, and it did not disappoint. Early voting, owned by Klarvich Stables, trained by Chad Brown. Jose Ortiz aboard, now a perfect 2 for 2, and right out of the gate, he basically put this field away.
Beat them to the punch to the first turn, jumped quickly, just very shifty, very athletic colt. Opened up an insurmountable lead around the turn, got to wander in a little bit in the stretch, and maybe got a little bit lonely, a little bit tired, but I think this was a tremendous performance for a horse in their second start, Andy.
No, I can't agree anymore with what you said. This was a tremendous performance. You know, this track is not playing quickly. That was a monstrous first quarter, and I honestly think he may have surprised Jose Ortiz just how quickly he flew out of the gate. I mean, obviously Jose had a plan. The plan was, I don't want to dare speed. I want to be in front, but he just ran so fast. I have to think he was a little surprised.
And he's shifty too. I mean, for a horse to do it the way he did, I love that suddenness to his stride and his first couple steps. Give a lot of credit to the New York bred Uno from Anthony Dutrow. Big run from him to get up for second.
Yeah, 28-1 there.
And it's
so look
interesting.
how the pick 6 has played out. Andy, you were saying?
No, I was going to say, a lot of times the trainers say, a lot of trainers speak, but as I said earlier in the show, Chad Brown said to me before his first start, he's not fully cranked up. I guess he was right.
You'd still think, he's 2 starts into his career. There's still a lot of upside there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun to watch.
Exciting Withers.
Derby prep schedule. What is next? Well, maybe it's the Wood for early voting. But here in New York, what's next is the Gotham on March 5th. 50 points to the winner to get into that Derby starting gate.
And it'll be interesting, you know, High Oak, who we saw win our Cerro Special, had an injury. He was supposed to run in the Swale. He had a fever. His owner, Lee Einstein, said they're hoping it's minor and he can get here for the Gotham, but we'll see some other shooters. This was a very impressive performance. You have a general feeling, the recency, you know, you have a recency bias. Sure. And this was exciting, and it couldn't have gone any better for early voting. There's still a long way to go, and I think we'll see a different group of horses for that Gotham.
Things change quickly on this road to the Derby. You can look sensational one day, flop the next, but it's been a pretty impressive start for this horse. First two of his career. We have the finale from Tampa Bay when we come back. Stick with us. And the finale from New York. More coming up on America's Day at the Races right after this break.
We bought the Taproot filly out of Tisn't She Beautiful, and will be trained by Todd Pletcher. Extremely athletic, a lot like him. We're excited to see him on the track.
Beautiful filly. She's out of a graded stakes mare that ran early as a 2-year-old, so I like that quite a bit out of her. This filly looks like she's going to be super early and precocious. Very good muscled filly, just a lot to like about her.
Taproot, standing at Gainesway.
We're back on America's Day at the Races, program brought to you in part by the champion sprinter Run Happy. Never lost in his career while sprinting and did it all while racing medication-free. Nightcap from New York to close out this double pick six carryover, 7/8 of a mile. New York bred maiden special weight. Let's head downstairs to Maggie.
And we do see a horse taking the bulk of the play, and rightfully so, as Golden Age ran well, though in defeat in his debut behind Bold Journey, who was highly regarded that day for his first start for trainer Bill Mott, and just took them gate to wire where this horse was chasing the whole way from the inside. So he looks to be the quickest again because they actually broke on top that day. So I think getting an extra furlong should aid his chances because he is a bit of a bigger, scopier type. Very laid back here in the paddock with the addition of the Lasix. But the horse that looks the best here, and I suppose rightfully so after being purchased for $685,000 as a 2-year-old in the OBS sale last year. But that's number 9, Relate. Now, he debuted going the 6.5, which was the only day I'd seen him, and I said that he wanted to go longer. Well, then he cuts back to 6 going over the slop, and now he's out to the 7. I'd still like to see him going a little bit longer than this, but I think the 7's more ideal, and he's just that much more fit, that much more defined. I like this horse. I think there is a bit of talent in there with him, the son of Connect, and I'd rather take a little bit of a better price on Relate than Golden Code.
All right, Maggie, thank you. Our post-parade coming up shortly.
Can I disagree with Maggie? I do not like Relate.
What don't you like?
He's gotten perfect trips in both his starts, and he's just not really done it much running. Having said that, he was run off his feet in a speed track. My horse was impressive, and he did draw well on the outside, but I'm not a fan. But he's 5-1. Maggie will be right. I'll look like the idiot that I am.
Now, Bold Journey, who beat him, it was start number 2. He was the 1-2 favorite. And his debut, he was beat by a pretty nice one, too, named G Money, who didn't come back and run all that great.
We were talking about Relate. Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about Golden Code, who's the 2-1 favorite who we're looking at.
Oh, he's run once. Yeah. No, he ran very well in his debut. Isn't he the horse to beat?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Public agrees. Kendrick Carmouche will be aboard. But, yeah, that debut effort from him, that was impressive.
I totally agree. I'm going to try the 6, cutting back in distance a little bit. I thought the mile and the pace was too much for him last time. He chased wide. The rail was good. So I want to give him a chance, but the horse to beat is the 10. No doubt about it.
I thought the 7/8 would suit the 6. Curlin Wisdom as well. I thought the mile, again, like you said, a little bit too much. The we get Trevor McCarthy, too. Jose Ortiz had to catch a plane out of here. Well, I got a rooting interest now, too.
Richie, by the way, the only thing that's 100% of the show is Richie picking Trevor's horses. That's the only thing that Richie's got
is there
perfect.
A connection there?
Well,
friends of the family.
He's got a good agent. I like his agent.
Does he?
Nice guy.
Heard good things about his agent. No, they're having a tremendous meet. This horse, interesting, too. Cutting back slightly.
That was a wicked
Gets
pace last
Lasix.
time.
Yeah, I thought it was a very fast pace last time. It's the Goldilocks effects. Mile a little too far, 6 runs a little too short. 7 furlongs just right, Andy.
He was wide against his only other dirt start against a gold rail. But I picked him, but only because this 10 would be the favorite. I do think the 10 is a more likely winner, Golden Code. He lost to a buzzsaw. Bold Journey had run well in his first start for Carlos Martin. It's a private purchase given to Belmont that just exploded last time. We haven't seen him since, but he ran like a horse that has a bit of a future, and I don't mean just to New York bred races. Not to knock the New York bred races in any way.
There is Curlin's Wisdom, who Mig likes, 3-1. He's taking money now. And yet, rider change. It was announced before I believe before the card kicked off. Trevor McCarthy will be aboard. How forward is he going to be in here?
That's a good question. I mean, that's a very reasonable question. And what kind of trip is he going to work out? Now, listen, the second place finisher and the winner of the race spent a reasonable amount of time close enough to the rail, not right on it, that maybe the track's getting a little bit fair out there as it dries out. But I don't think Curlin's Wisdom fast enough to be in front. I mean, theoretically, couldn't Golden Code just clear this field and be in front? There's a real chance he's just faster than these horses.
Particularly with the start under his belt, maybe that makes him a little bit sharper as well. I think it depends a lot what the 7 does. 7 showed good speed last time.
But if you're Kendrick, I don't think you want to sort of stay off the inside with him. But I do think he's the fastest horse naturally in here. Hey, we're at Tampa.
Yes, Mile on the Turf to close out their card. $16,000 claiming race. It is Kitten with a Whip. Kent Sweezy, Sam Camacho, 3-1 favorite.
Yeah, I mean, based on the last race, this horse faster than a lot of these horses makes a lot of sense in here. If you're looking for a little bit of a price, you've got Reiki, the one that's going back to a trainer that had more success. The fastest races that Reiki ran were with Eduardo Azpurua, who takes over the training at it before from Mike Lehrman. So maybe if she got back to those races, she could beat him. But they were a while ago. She may just have gone the wrong way.
She fled the scene. Kathleen O'Connell taking some support at 4-1. Winner on this turf course, the 6.
Yeah, no, listen, her last 2 races were okay and, didn't get back to the good race 2 back, but she didn't run badly, and her race 2 back is fast enough to win here. She got a good trip that day, but we'll see. She should be able to work out another one here. I mean, it feels like, isn't the 8 Josepha, who's probably a long shot, supposed to go to the front? But I thought the 6 could be sitting in a relatively good stalking position.
I'm all about the 7.
I got to root for a 9-year-old mare.
Got to. Gray mare. Think she gets a stalking trip.
Yep.
I don't know. Is she really fast enough? She's been involved in some pretty slow paces. The other thing is 23 seconds and thirds and only 5 wins and 53 career starts.
Today's her day. 9.
Okay. Is Trevor on her? Did he make the flight down there?
There she fled the scene.
He wishes he did.
For Kathleen O'Connell is going to be the last in line. We're set for this nightcap from Tampa. Jason Beam, the call.
Set flow. Jose Batista to the outside gate. Comes up. Andy in. They're in the gate. And the race is on. Caught him in a beautiful line. Morgan Ziva from the inside. Josefa showing good speed. And here's Josefa all the way up to assume command. Morgan Ziva out in second. Sensible Myth, Postino's Idol up in that second flight. Moving up on the outside, Cephalo is away fifth. Rocky toward the inside is in the sixth position. Then it's a lineup in that next flight. Glovana in between horses. Finest Jewel, Kitten with a Whip is in and amongst horses in ninth. Then comes Little Who's Who in 10th. Go Yo Woman and She Fled the Scene. Those two are at the back, 12th and last. And about 11 lengths off the leader up front, who is Josefa. Angel Rodriguez and Josefa take him to the backstretch in front by 3. Morgan Ziva in the second spot. Postino's Idol found a good spot, third, out in the clear. It's a length and a half more than back to Rocky in fourth. Sensible Myth is fifth right now, about 7 lengths behind this runaway leader up front. Then comes Glovana, Cephalo, Finest Jewel between horses. Kitten with a Whip, still with 3 beat. Those are She Fled the Scene, Go Yo Woman, and a dropping out to the back, Little Who's Who. 23 seconds for the opening quarter and 47 seconds for the opening half mile. Josefa takes him to the far turn, a length and a half in front of Morgan Ziva in the second position. It's a length and a half more back to Postino's Idol. Rocky trying to get going. Moving in between horses. Finest Jewel starts to launch a bid. Cephalo on the far outside. Cast out 4 wide. She Fled the Scene is trying to run on from the back, as is Go Yo Woman. Morgan Ziva takes over at the top of the stretch. Postino's Idol now chases that one from the second spot. They're a length and a half clear of Sensible Myth, who's trying to wind up. Rocky moves off the rail, is down to the 2 path, but they got to come get Morgan Ziva, who sneaks away. Morgan Ziva out of the furlong pole in front by 3. Postino's Idol takes up the chase. Then comes Sensible Myth. A final 16th to go, though. Morgan Ziva well in command. Past the 16th pole, it's Morgan Ziva and Huber Villagomez to win the finale here by about 3.5 in the end. Postino's Idol held second over Go Yo Woman, who closed in for third. Then came Sensible Myth, and a photo there for the Miners with Kitten with a Whip and Rocky.
Morgan's Ziva. Uber Villagomez, Ron Potts, 11th career win.
Went to the front, and this was essentially a merry-go-round race. Good call with you, Richie, on the 7, who stalked as you said she would and did hold on for second. But this horse, Morgan Ziva, she was in a different race than everybody else.
Oh, here's the one to beat back in New York in this finale here. Golden Code for Todd Pletcher. Start number 2, trying to break his maiden.
Yeah, he's the horse. He's the horse to beat in here. I don't think there's any, there's nothing, at least I thought on paper. I'll give you, you want my long shot? If you want to look for a bomb to try to get into the try or super, the 2 Silent Running. Silent Running actually did some real running, had significant trouble in that race, and was really the only horse that was coming running. Pretty much it was a merry-go-round race. Basically, they ran 1, 2, 3, 4 around the track. This was the one horse that made a move in there. I think Silent Running has a chance to get a piece here. Not saying he's a likely winner, but I think Silent Running will definitely outrun those 28-1 odds.
28-1 for a barn that's been doing well. Jimmy Bond's barn's really
Very
woken
well.
up. Horses have been running well.
And Heeman Harkey, I mean, I know he's not a household name, but his horses are running well for him. He finished second for a Bond horse in the first race today.
Rides hard and gives you an honest effort.
Today.
Rides hard, gives you an honest effort.
Big price, and you can make money with the favorite winning with prices like that underneath. Let's go downstairs to Maggie.
I'm actually with Andy on Silent Running. He piqued my interest first time out. He looks like a horse that needs longer. He ran like a horse that needs longer. He gets an extra furlong here, and he is sharp for his second start. So I agree. He is a long shot worth looking at. His number 3 is Moped Dennis, who returns off of a kind of somewhat quick turnaround. Did spend most of the time on what was a very strong rail in his debut. So I don't love that, but he is a good-looking type, and he's just a horse that's crying out to go long. I mean, he might want even longer than this, to be quite honest, but I thought a decent enough effort, albeit bias aided, in the debut that he could build upon it, as he is 6-1.
All right, Maggie, thank you. About to load up. Andy, Richie, both going with the 6.
Maggie said that about the 3 Moped Dennis because she knew I was going to come back and say, this horse was on the rail last time. I want no part of him. So Maggie was preempting me with that. She was getting ahead of me on that one.
We're all learning how to deal with you, Andy.
Maggie's got a little time on you guys. She's been dealing with you for over a decade.
8-5 favorite remains Golden Code. Second time out for Pletcher, getting an extra furlong today.
Yeah, with the start under his belt, shouldn't be an issue.
Drew well.
Should not be an issue.
Nightcap from New York, and what has been a very formful pick 6 carryover this afternoon. We'll see how the card closes out. Here, race 9. John Imbrial with the call. Let's go upstairs.
Waiting for Golden Code and Salute to America. And the rider's off, I believe, number 4, ASAP Restoration. Will have a slight delay.
So ASAP Restoration, that was Jackie Davis, you see right there off her mounts. Issue with the gate.
Yeah, he acted up in the gate. Looked like he got up in the air. They'll take him out of the gate. The examining veterinarian will take a look and see if this horse is okay to compete or not. There's one of the protocols in place to make sure. Well, this horse will be a late scratch taken out.
Let's head down to Maggie for more.
And as due to NYRA protocol, this horse did go up and basically sit down. So when a horse's hocks or any part of their rear end touch the ground, they are just an automatic scratch, just erring on the side of caution. So we will not see ASAP Restoration participate today. Guys.
All right, now he's better, and that's what they always do, to err on the side of caution, so it's back to the barn for this one.
Yeah, and listen, the horse will be checked out. If the horse is fine, there'll be another day, another race. Always better to make that judgment call that, like you said, Greg, are on the side of caution. Horses' safety and rider safety paramount to anything else.
Can't add anything to that.
So that one comes out.
Looks like they backed the field out of the gate now.
It's going to be dark by the time we run this if they back them out of the gate.
Well, right now, the number, were they going to move them over? Or are they going to leave that number on the board? So it looks like,
I mean, the fact that they took the inside horses, what they'll do is they'll move the 2 and the 3 out of path. And they've left the outside runners in the gate.
And there they go. Taking that 4 off the board. Yep, they'll move them out.
See, now, when I was riding, I would always be a little bit upset that if I was still in the gate while this was all going on, because I feel like it's a disadvantage to be in the gate longer than everybody else.
And if there was a long delay, I mean, could you ask and say, look, I want to get out and stretch the legs?
Well, you might ask for permission to get backed out, but at the end of the day, it's up to the discretion of the starter. He is the attending official, and you have to ask for permission. Years ago, you had to ask for permission to have someone handle you in the gate, and you didn't always get the person, even if you wanted somebody. Starter might tell you, you got him, you handle him, and that was that. You had no recourse. It's changed quite a bit, obviously.
Today did a podcast with our starter Hector Soler tomorrow. It's available across the board.
Terrific
Just
guy.
a great conversation with him. A guy who's has a long career. It just shows the love of people in the game. As a kid, went to the track with his father and grandfather in Puerto Rico. Fell in love with horses and horse racing, and look where he is now.
Not a head starter in New York.
Yeah, tremendous.
Pretty remarkable.
Yeah, we learned about him this summer at Saratoga. And he's doing a terrific job.
No
Favorite,
question.
Golden Code, the 10 for Pletcher. Let's go back to John Imbrial.
And they're off. Slow start for number 8, Laban M. trails the field. Golden Code out for the early lead with Raw Courage racing in second. Curlin's Wisdom is next in third, followed by Relate on the outside in fourth, with Salute to America in fifth. Moped Dennis and Silent Running are right together, 4 lengths back to the slow starting Laban M. Mo. Golden Code is the leader here. Golden Code takes the field up the backstretch and leads here by 1.5 lengths. Relate is on the outside in second, and down at the rail is Raw Courage next in third, the quarter win in 24 and 1/5 seconds. Curlin's Wisdom is on the inside of Salute to America. Those two are heads apart, 4th and 5th. Silent Running moves up a spot down at the rail. Then Moped Dennis and Laban M. Mo. The field is now going around the far turn with Golden Code on top here. Golden Code, the favorite by 1 length over Relate. Then it's a break of 2.5 to Raw Courage, who is down at the rail. Salute to America's on the outside, and Curlin's Wisdom runs in 5th. It is Golden Code and Relate, and they are 1-2 coming into the stretch. Golden Code is in front. Golden Code now clear by 3. Relate runs in second. A bit tough to handle there is Relate. Golden Code, in the meantime, has opened up on this field. Golden Code has a 6-length lead, and it will be Golden Code and Kendrick Carmouche to win the Saturday nightcap. Golden Code by 10 lengths or so. Relate was second, and Salute to America finished third.
7-5 favorite, Golden Code, absolutely dominant here.
Dominant, and one thing that you saw Kendrick Carmouche do, Golden Code showed speed. He was never within 4 or 5 pats of the rail.
No, I agree. He was a dominant winner, and he looked good on paper, and he ran better on the track. Keep an eye on Silent Running going forward, the long shot here. He was like the rabbit at the dogs. He was glued to the rail, and he had run.
Takeaways from this program today.
You didn't know going into the Withers whether or not you'd see a horse you thought might be a Derby contender. At the very least, we saw one that might be a Derby contender.
By the way, all those favorites we saw win, pick 6 paid just over $1,000.
And I'm glad to see. You know, people who put in relatively small money had a chance to win. I like to see that in a big carryover, so congrats.
We are back on tomorrow, 2 Eastern start time on FS2. We're on FS1 at 4 Eastern. It was Bleecker Street, maybe a star in the making for Chad Brown, Peter Brandt. Now a perfect 4 for 4, taking the Endeavour. Sherrill's Spite, equally impressive in the Tampa Bay. And we have another contender on the Kentucky Derby Trail. Early voting, now a perfect 2 for 2. Taking the Grade 3 Withers.
Start spreading the news. If you're looking to win in New York, then breed in New York. To War Dancer, the millionaire son of Warfront, and New York's #1 sire of 3-year-olds. Breed to a proven performer, the #1 second crop sire at the Saratoga meet with multiple winners at Belmont and Aqueduct. Earn double the New York Breeders' Awards and participate in the New York Stallion Series with $2 million in purses. War Dancer, proud to stand in New York. Visit wardancer.com.